think it actually makes us wait until 7:05. We got like 10 seconds.
You know what time it is. Buckle up and enjoy the ride.
Hey folks, Philly Chris coming at you live here from an undisclosed location. We got a great show lined up for you this week, but there's something I've been holding back about on the show, and I don't want to wait any longer, so I'm doing this live stream right now. But before I do that, I just want to make sure I get permission from Mike, so I'm going to give him a quick call. Also going to try to patch in Russ, the producer, on our emergency banana phone. Hang on just a second here. I'm going to try to get him on. Hello, Mike? Mike, hey, it's Philly Chris. Hey, listen, there's something I want to talk to you about, and I know I'm kind of putting you on the spot right now, but I'm broadcasting you live. I'm going to put you on the speakerphone, on the banana phone, in just a second.
Hey,
I'm sorry, what?
Who are you?
What do you
What
mean?
are you doing here? You can't be
No,
here.
I'm sorry. I can't be here? Oh, well, hold on a second, folks.
Get out of here right now.
Jeez. All right. We gotta move. Hold on. All right, hold on just a second. Somebody coming. Really not supposed to be here. Okay. But join us this week. We're gonna have Rocco DePipo on from Cosmic Disorders band with some of his new live music. He's got the Let's Go Brandon song that's been going viral. Actually, might be a good time for some background music right now regarding that. So hold on, and then we'll see bad.
Let's go, Brandon. Let's go, Brandon. Let's go, Brandon. Let's go, Brandon, till we can't go no more. Look at Brandon living in a White House. Look at Brandon drooling on the floor. Look at Brandon making lots of money, stealing from the rich and stealing from the poor. Let's go, Brandon. Let's go, Brandon. Let's go, Brandon. Let's go, Brandon, till we can't go no more. Brandon is a clown, forcing you to lock down. If you own a business, he's gonna lock your door. Brandon's making you get the damn injection. Brandon is corrupt, he's rotten to the core. Let's go, Brandon. Let's go, Brandon. Let's go, Brandon. Let's go, Brandon, till we can't go no more. Brandon has a talent for stealing crazy money. Brandon is a big guy who gets his 10%. Brandon made a fortune as a politician. Compared to him, Al Capone barely made it.
And we are live. Greetings to our loyal WFYL listeners around the world. Welcome back to your Philadelphia live stream, only on the Freedom Station. I want to thank each and every one of you for tuning in once again, because you still have the right to hear and the right to be heard. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Mike G. As always, with me are Philly Chris, Russ, the producer, and Liberty Lee. And you're listening to Mike G in the morning with The Law Matters. And you can listen to our program every Friday at 7 a.m. Eastern, only on the Freedom Station, WFYL. So let's be heard. I want to remind our listeners that you can participate in the free and open exchange of thoughts and ideas throughout the entire week by visiting MikeGinTheMorning.com. What's it called, Philly Chris?
MikeGinTheMorning.com.
Sleepy Russ, what's it called?
MikeGinTheMorning.com.
How about you, Liberty?
MikeGinTheMorning.com.
So tell your friends, tell your family, tell your barber, tell your Uncle Jerry, tell anybody who'll listen to check us out at MikeGinTheMorning.com. I also want to remind our listeners about the powerhouse lineup we've got here at 1180 WFYL, the Freedom Station. We've got Scott Adams coming to you every morning, weekdays from 9 a.m. until 11. We've got a brand new program called Kinetic Faith, bringing you value, service, and order weekdays at 11 a.m. We've got the one, the only, the main man, Dan Bongino, coming at you weekdays from noon right until Ben Shapiro. We've got Ben Shapiro bringing you the Ben Shapiro Show weekdays from 3 to 5 p.m. And finally, we want to welcome him to the Freedom Station family. We've got Michael Knowles bringing you the Michael Knowles Show, coming at you weekdays from 5 to 6 p.m. So don't forget to tune in and show him some love. And with that, you know what time it is. Buckle up and enjoy the ride. Hit it, Russ.
You know what time it is. Buckle up and enjoy the ride.
We have got one show for the ages coming at you here today. We've got a very special guest who's going to be joining us live from Italy. It's like 1 o'clock in the morning over there right now. We've got Rocco DePippo from the band Cosmic Order with the famous viral Let's Go Brandon song. He's with us here today. Rocco, thank you so much for joining us.
My pleasure, Mike. My pleasure. My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
You know, the way I want to kick this off, we want to get to know you and find out how this all came to be, what was the inspiration for this song. But before we do, I think it's most important that our audience, the Mike G in the Morning family, the WFYL Freedom Station listeners, get to hear your song in its entirety. So for those of you who are watching via live stream, you'll be able to see the music video. For those of us listening over the Freedom Station airwaves, you'll be able to hear the masterpiece that is Let's Go Brandon. So Russ, why don't you hit us with it? Let's Go Brandon, coming at you from Cosmic Order. That's it, Russ.
You guys are the ones who sent me this stuff.
That's a different song.
I don't remember doing that, man.
Yeah, that's pretty good. How you change that up so quick.
Yeah.
That's
What happened
great.
there?
You know, it's great that we saw this, and we saw this song has been going around. We see you in the music video over there performing, and we were thinking, wouldn't it be great if we could get this artist to come onto the program and talk to us a little bit about this song? So while Russ is going ahead and getting that together to bring up the music video, why don't you tell us a little bit about when you made this song and where the inspiration came from, Rocco?
Well, I made this. I put this together about a
Try
week
the new
ago.
link there, Russ. Sorry to interrupt.
And I put it together because I was hearing about this phenomenon, this Let's Go Brandon thing, where everybody's writing these Let's Go Brandon songs. So I went on YouTube and I scoped a couple of them out, and I heard that one of them actually went to the top of the iTunes charts and knocked out Adele. I was like, wow, what is this, man? So, I checked them out. They were all rap. They were all rap versions. And I thought, no one's done a rock version, of this thing yet. And so I got inspired, and I pulled a nice bass line, and I said, this will do it. And of course, the song was very easy to write because, the chorus is what? Let's go, Brandon.
Let's go, Brandon. And there's
that's
so
it,
much
man.
material there's so much material available. I think it was Donald Trump who said he's not going to insult Rand Paul's looks when he was on the stage but believe me, there's a lot of material there's a lot of material with Uncle Creepy Joe Biden in office, isn't there?
Oh, man, it's endless. It's endless. It's just.
I think Russ does have the video up. Russ, why don't you hit us with it?
Go.
I hope this is the actual video.
Let's go, Brandon. Let's go, Brandon. Let's go, Brandon. Let's go, Brandon, till we can't go no more. Look at Brandon living in a White House. Look at Brandon drooling on the floor. Look at Brandon making lots of money, stealing from the rich and stealing from the poor. Let's go, Brandon. Let's go, Brandon. Let's go, Brandon. Let's go, Brandon, till we can't go no more. Brandon is a clown, forcing you to lock down. If you own a business, he's gonna lock your door. Brandon's making you get the damn injection. Brandon is corrupt, he's rotten to the core. Let's go, Brandon. Let's go, Brandon. Let's go, Brandon. Let's go, Brandon, till we can't go no more. Brandon has a talent for stealing crazy money. Brandon is the big guy who gets his 10%. Brandon made a fortune as a politician. Compared to him, Al Capone barely made a dent. Let's go, Brandon. Let's go, Brandon. Let's go, Brandon. Let's go, Brandon, till we can't go no more. Let's go, Brandon. Let's go, Brandon. Let's go, Brandon. Brandon has a son smoking on a crack pipe. Brandon has a wife who's wanting more and more. Brandon has friends in all the wrong places. Brandon's always getting 10% of every score. Brandon's stealing votes, he stole the damn election. Brandon and his friends burn it all down. Brandon and his friends making their selection. Drive the whole country straight into the ground. Let's go, Brandon. Let's go, Brandon. Let's go, Brandon. Let's go, Brandon, till we can't go no more. Let's go, Brandon. Let's go, Brandon. Let's go, Brandon. Let's go, Brandon, till we can't go no more. Let's go, Brandon. Let's go, Brandon. Let's go, Brandon. Everybody sing it. Let's go, Brandon, till we can't go no more. Let's go, Brandon. Everybody sing it. Let's go, Brandon. Everybody sing it. Let's go, Brandon. Everybody sing it. Let's go, Brandon, till we can't go no more. Let's go, Brandon. Everybody sing it. Let's go, Brandon. Everybody sing it. Let's go, Brandon. Everybody sing it. Let's go, Brandon, till we can't go no more. Let's go, Brandon. Everybody sing it. Let's go, Brandon. Everybody sing it. Let's go, Brandon. Everybody sing it. Let's go, Brandon, till we can't go no more.
Yes.
Let's go, Brandon,
Yes. CosmicOrderBand.com. You can check it out. CosmicOrderBand.com. Is it available on iTunes, Rocco?
iTunes, it's everywhere. You know,
It'll be
iTunes,
the new
Spotify.
number one. The new
there
number
we
one
go,
on
there we go.
We'll
iTunes.
see, man. I hope so. I hope so. It'd be a lot of fun to
I'm
see a
glad
rock
you made a
version.
rock song because, like you were mentioning, there wasn't a rock song. I
No.
tend to lean towards rock and roll as opposed to rap or whatever else they've got out there.
yeah,
So this is
yeah.
great. It's exactly what the
Yeah.
doctor ordered, Rocco.
Thank you. I'm glad you enjoyed it. I'm glad people are
Very
getting a kick
thoughtful
out of
lyrics
it.
too, right? The big guy getting his 10%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was another thing I didn't like about, the rap versions and all. They stayed on that Let's Go Brandon thing because that's the hook. That is the hook.
Sure.
But, tell the story about this guy, what
yeah.
a thief and what a crook he is and his son. I mean, can you imagine this? We got a president whose son is a crackhead, which, all right, okay, people can have problems with drugs. I mean, I've had friends who just whatever, it happened.
Yeah.
But not only is this guy a crackhead, this guy goes and hustles. He's got these hustles and these cons going for the old man.
Right.
And he's using the old man. And because if Joe Biden wasn't an item, Hunter Biden would be just a crackhead.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
But this guy goes and does these hustles.
Not
Influence
selling
peddling.
paintings for $500,000, right?
My
He wouldn't
God.
be
Yeah, yeah,
selling
yeah. My God.
paintings. I'm used for those of us listening over the airways. I'm using air quotes when I'm saying paintings because I don't think anybody in their right mind believes that the money he's being paid are for those paintings, right?
Influence peddling. That's what it is, man. That's what it is.
Jeremy
Did you see
Miller.
that artist? He's a conservative artist who unveiled his masterpiece in front of the art gallery that Hunter Biden was having his show at. Did you see that? It was it was phenomenal. Big gilded frame, and he drops the cloth like in the movies, right?
Right.
Mhm.
What it is on the left, it's Hunter. That famous picture of him out with the crack pipe. And then there's an arm coming up, dropping money. And then there's a flag with that like Joe Biden, I'm not here.
Right.
Right.
Arms grabbing the cash.
Oh, grabbing the cash.
So
That's
well
pretty good.
done. So well done, man. But here's where we are. This is where we are now. I never thought I would ever do a political song because, on a personal level, to me, like mixing politics with your music is kind of a turnoff to me. It always kind of has. I'll make broad political statements on my upcoming album. It's a very political album, but I don't say anything like, Trump sucks or Biden sucks. Well, actually, now I do say, let's go Brandon. There's no way to snake out of that one. But that's an exception. But considering what's going on, right? If you look at this Let's Go Brandon phenomenon, there's a guy named Bryson Gray. He's a rapper. He's an established guy. He was one of the guys that knocked off the top spot on iTunes. He got banned by YouTube. They yanked his stuff.
Get out of here.
They yanked him.
Coincidence, right? Coincidence.
No. They were very clear as to why they did it. Well, in my opinion, they did it because he's a black man and he's a conservative, and he's a conservative Christian. But the excuse they gave, the reason they gave was he gave improper medical advice
Oh.
about the vaccine. Now, I watched his video, and I'm like, where is it? Where is it? And the other guy who really killed it, Lotsa Alexander, who had 3 million hits on his Let's Go Brandon too. He's talking about the vaccine. I'm talking about the vaccine in mine. I mean, to make a passing comment,
Right.
But what is this? What is this? If we have an opposing view to the establishment now, we're the new counterculture. Can you imagine this?
Absolutely. We're the rebels.
new
Yeah.
counterculture.
Absolutely.
I remember the 70s. I came up through the 70s. I missed the 60s. I was too young. But there was quite a bit of that overflow into the 70s from the 60s, the mentality. It was like, to hell with the establishment, to hell with the man, all of that kind of stuff. And now, it's the opposite. Now people on the left are like, you will do, you will comply, you will bow to the man. And it's people on the right who are, the pro-freedom people. And to me, it's unbelievable. I never thought I'd see that whole dynamic flipped on its head.
It's
We
bizarre.
are the counterculture. We are, man.
Pretty wild.
It's
It happened pretty
absolutely
quick,
bizarre.
too.
Yeah,
happened
that's
very-
right. That's right. We had a program of ours that was removed. They used that same excuse that they used for the other gentleman, misinformation. We came back on the very next episode and went through the entire video and went through each and every one of their policies to try to make some kind of sense of how we violated any of those policies, and we clearly absolutely didn't. They wouldn't elaborate any further. They said, nope, you're done, no appeals, you're out of here.
Yeah. What do you think of that from the point of view? You're a lawyer. You're a defense guy. You understand the game.
Right.
How are they able to do this? I'm sort of familiar with the Section 230 thing that they hide behind.
Yeah. No, they certainly do. I think that they're, and we're probably going to get yanked for saying this, right? It seems that every time we criticize them is when we get yanked.
Here we
And
go.
It just so happens that you criticize big tech and you get taken off.
You get yanked. Yeah.
But ultimately, there are legal issues with violating your own rules. If you make rules, you got to follow rules. But-
Yeah.
So that is certainly an issue. That
Wait,
they
is
are a
that how
private
that
company.
Mhm.
What's that?
Is that how that works?
But it's supposed to be. But the rules
Not
are
on
pretty
the
fluid,
left.
too, you know?
Well,
Yeah.
if you're a private company, you can make your own rules, right? That you have those authorities. You've got the
Within
power to
limitations.
create that structure. But once you make those rules, you're supposed to follow those rules. That's how you see, like a homeowners association, for example, who fails to follow their own internal rules. Well, it's not the government. You don't have any of those causes of action. It's a private organization. They can make their own rules. You got to follow your own rules, and that's just fundamental fairness.
Yeah, but if you have rules, in a private corporation that are in violation of federal law or even state law, I mean, how does that work?
Well, that's true. Are you talking about what rule under state or federal law would you say would be
I mean,
violated?
free speech issues, okay?
Right. So
Now-
here's the issue with that. The issue with that is the Constitution, the Bill of Rights in particular, protects these inalienable God-given rights from interference by the government, right? So unless you've got that government actor, then it doesn't trigger that specific protection. But there are other
Right.
ways that you can certainly get after them. For those of us just tuning in, you're listening to Mike G in the Morning with The Law Matters, only on the Freedom Station, WFYL. So, Rocco, I want our listeners, our audience, the Mike G in the Morning family, to really get to know you. And we mentioned briefly that you're broadcasting from Italy right now, where it is the
Yes.
middle of the night.
Yeah, it is.
And we want to know, how did you end up in Italy? You're from America originally, I presume, if you got this
Yeah, I'm an
interest in American
American.
politics. So where did you grow up?
I grew up in Long Island, New York. So I'm a New Yorker.
Okay,
Yeah.
Brooklyn guy here myself. Philly
Yeah.
Chris spent a lot of time in Long Island growing
Yeah.
up.
What part
Well,
of Long
we're-
Island, Rocco?
Yeah, we're in Long Island. I was,
My family's from Port Washington.
Yeah, I grew up in Floral Park.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah, right on the Nassau-Queens border.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
That's great.
That's
And
fine.
how long were you over there?
I was there till I was 17 years old, and then I went into the military for a couple of years. I went into the Army, and I saw a little bit of Germany, and I put a band together while I was over there. And then I got out of the military, and I played there for about a year, and we were very popular, but we were also very young and stupid. But, I mean, at the time, this is back in 1979, and we're each being paid $700 a week. And that's
Pretty good
like,
back then, yeah.
to some stupid 19, 20-year-old kid, that's like $1 million. But
Sure.
the strangest thing was, by the end of the week, man, with the end of the week, 3 days, 4 days, I was broke every week. And so I ended up there. And then, the years went by, and I ended up going back to the States. That thing fell apart. And, I got married and had some children, and, then I had several businesses. I had a residential construction company, and then I did auto repairs. I've always just bounced around and did a bunch of things. And then in 2006, I was a writer. I was writing for, I still had my carpentry thing going, my construction thing going, but my sideline was writing political stuff. I wrote for American Thinker and David Horowitz's frontpagemag.com.
Right.
And I really enjoyed it. And through that, I was contacted by some guy who was commenting on one of the pieces I had written, and he goes, "Hey, would you like to work in Iraq?" And I'm thinking, "No, man, I don't want to work in Iraq ever."
No, thank you.
Yeah.
Every night on the TV, I don't know if you guys remember, it's like the latest car bomb, body parts flying through the air, all of that craziness.
Crazy.
And I'm watching this stuff, and I'm talking to this guy, and I talked to him for about a month and a half, and I said, "Look, I'm going to send you a list of questions, and just answer them for me." So I wrote up a ton of questions about security, how I get there, what I'm going to be doing, how dangerous is it going to be, on and so on and so forth. And the guy answered all the questions, and finally there were no more questions, and he said, "Look," he goes, "I've answered all your questions. Do you want to do this or not?" And I said, "Okay, I'll get back to you." And I can remember sitting in front of my computer, looking at the email that he sent, with the formal offer letter. And I'm like, "No, I can't do this, man. I can't do this." Yes. I was terrified. I remember going because they send you to the hospitals, to have your blood work done and to check you inside and out and to make sure, you're not going to have a heart attack in the middle of the desert or whatever.
Right.
And while I'm sitting there waiting for like the 500th blood test, there's a stack of Time magazines. And I pick one up and it's like car bomb. I'm like, oh.
Uh-huh.
Pick up another one. It's like 3 guys beheaded. And I'm like, oh man, what am I doing? Right.
Yeah.
And long story short, I'm not going to get into all the details on it. But I showed up there. I was promised a job where I'd be in a safe little place in the green zone. Just, not that the green zone's safe because the rocket action was insane coming in.
Really?
But I show up and I'm thinking, okay, I'm going to have an office job. The money is phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. And I meet my boss after 2 days of travel to Jordan. It's like, and man, I hadn't left the States in 30 years at that point. And here I am in Jordan, and like, you're hearing the call to prayer over the minarets and all of that. And it's like, my God, this is unbelievable. And so I finally get to Iraq, and I finally get to the green zone, and I walk in, and this guy says, okay, the boss will be out to introduce, himself in a few minutes. So the boss comes out, it's this little short, little built guy, about like mid-50s, former Marine. And he goes, hi, I'm your boss. Here's your sidearm. Go buy an AK on the market, about $300, we'll reimburse you. And I'm like, whoa, wait a minute, whoa. So, I'm like, man, what do I need those for? He goes, you're going out on inspections on the road.
Wow.
I was like, man, that's not what I was promised. He goes, well, I'll tell you what. He goes, if you don't want to do it, I'll have you on a plane back home by the end of the day.
Wow, that's crazy.
And I just started doing it. And through all the craziness, I mean, it got to the point where I just, I was able to maintain a focus, during the terrifying moments. Because the truth of the matter is there aren't that many of them. I mean, there's enough.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you're talking to your boss, you're talking to your friend, all of a sudden, like, oh, that kind of thing. But
Wow.
That's crazy.
most of your days are just like, 14-hour days working. And then like those brief moments of terror or when you're on the road, you hear like behind you, you look and there's like a mini Hiroshima, someone got it
Wow.
behind you.
Right.
But after a while, I actually became used to it and I started to enjoy it.
Mm.
And
Enjoy
that's
it.
when enjoy. In fact, when I went after 3 months in Iraq, in Baghdad, and then working Wasit province, which is on the western side of Iraq, I went back to the States for 2 weeks, and near the end of those 2 weeks, I couldn't wait to go back. I couldn't wait to go back. The camaraderie, the mission, the sense of purpose, getting things done in an environment like that is so rewarding. It's just, I mean, the money, you don't even see the money at that point. I mean, just like, it's like such a rush to be in a place like that and get stuff done and help people. And I worked with a lot of Iraqi guys who, to this day, we've remained friends. A lot of them made it to the States because, hey, they work for Americans. Guess what?
Mhm.
You know how that rolls.
Yeah,
Sure.
unlike the Afghans, apparently.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that. Now I was in Afghanistan for 3 years, nearly 3 years, three different tours. And while in Iraq, I mean, I love the Iraqi people. They're wonderful people. I mean, they're crazy. They're kind of like Italians, except like if you kind of cross them or something, maybe like you'll be sitting there laughing and joking and having a couple of drinks. The next thing you know, all of a sudden you can't see out of your right eye because someone shoved a screwdriver into it.
Funny like how? Like a clown?
Like
And
a
make
clown.
you laugh?
Like, I'm here to make you laugh.
Sounds like New York a little, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, no, they're very volatile people, but they're lovely.
Wow.
They're really, and they're intelligent and they hustle. I had scores of friends when I was in Iraq, and I wasn't there that long. I was there for about 10 months. In the 3 years I spent in Afghanistan, I had one Afghan friend. One. That was
More
it.
to themselves, and they stuck to
Like
their
a
own
cultural-
circles and things like that. Is that what it was all about?
That's kind of part of it, but not all of it. I found that there's a disconnect. We share a common biology, but I found that there wasn't much more past that. In fact, I'll illustrate that with the story, with two quick stories. One of my friends in Iraq, he had done a tour in Afghanistan, and he was a Navy EOD guy, explosive ordnance disposal guy. And he tells me a story that one day, him and another guy and the dog, the bomb sniffing dog, the mine sniffing dog, were gridding out an area to demine, because as you know, the Russians mined Iraq. I mean, tens of millions of mines. And so they're getting ready to, figure out where the limits of this minefield are. And they're working, and all of a sudden, a camel wanders into the minefield, trips the mine off, and bang, blows its front leg off. Oof. We were just hanging. Right behind that, he hears some shouting and screaming, and the next creature to appear in their field of vision is a little girl about 7, 8 years old, with her father trying to chase her into the minefield to get this camel. So the moral of the story is that camel was worth more to that guy than his daughter.
Wow.
I mean, this is the type of, when I say disconnect, that I saw. One more quick story. This is kind of funny. Now, on one
Well,
of
the
my
last one certainly wasn't funny.
That's not fun.
Yeah.
That's not fun. Well, that story had a happy ending. The girl dragged the camel out and didn't trip off a mine. So,
That's good.
you know,
Yeah, that's
Well,
pretty
that's
crazy,
good.
though. But
I mean, the camel was useless except for like meat. I mean,
Right.
right.
this next story is a little more uplifting. But
Always
it's
keep
crazy.
a leash on your camel. That's the moral of the story.
There you go.
You're gonna take a camel for a walk. Make sure you have it on a leash,
Yeah.
Make sure you take it out. Yeah, it's true. And don't walk it through any minefields either.
and try not to
That's-
trip any
that would be
mines.
helpful as well.
Hey, wait.
Yeah. Anyhow, this other story. One of my duties on one of the jobs I had in Afghanistan was to do 2 armed escorts a day, escorting minivans full of workers in and off the base. And it's, you're worried. You got your armed, you got all your stuff. You got your AK, you got your handgun, you got some ammo in the back, and you just roll and you just stay focused and you look for trouble and you always looking for an escape route if things go south.
Mhm.
Well, one morning my boss said to me, he goes, "Hey, I got 3 Afghan army guys, and I was wondering if you could just take them and show them the drill, how to do these escorts." And I'm like, "Okay, that's cool." I said, "Yeah, just whatever." So I picked them up at like 5:30 in the morning, and they're walking towards my truck. And one of them has eyeliner on and lipstick. And I'm like, all right, this is different. So he gets in the front seat. His buddies get in the back, and we start driving. And he's giving me that come hither look, like,
Really?
and he's
Oh, boy.
kind of checking out my, what, kind of like looking that way a lot,
Wow.
like completely. And I'm like trying to stay focused so I don't get blown up.
Mm.
It's crazy.
And at that moment, I realized it was a lost cause, because here I was trying to survive this, twice a day I had to do it.
Mhm.
And that's where I'm thinking. But this guy's thinking of
Right. That's all. He only had one thing on his mind.
what is this, man? And the worst part is that the 2 guys he was with didn't say, like, get out of the car, you're not coming with us, or whatever. This
Yeah.
is serious business.
No explanation.
Yeah, so at that point, I knew that was going to be a lost cause. And there were other things, I mean, the weapons control, these guys had none. I mean, it was just awful, always screaming at guys because they're like, just pointing an AK at you, not meaning to, but just
Right.
I noticed that with
I
those
go,
videos coming out of Afghanistan. They were always pointing their guns at each other. Yeah. Even in their
Right.
pictures, they're like standing there like, hey.
Yeah, just
No
not.
concept of firearm safety.
Right,
And it-
right.
I mean, there's a whole cultural angle to that. If God wills you to live, you'll live. If God doesn't will you to live, he'll pull the trigger, or I'll accidentally pull the trigger, and God will have made me pull that trigger and blown you away accidentally. Well, that's nice.
You mean they don't take NRA basic pistol over there? They don't.
They can't.
They
You
don't
know-
have the Eddie the Eagle program in Afghanistan.
No, they had the guys
have
training them.
armors.
The guys training them were top-notch guys, and our guys top-notch, very professional, very dedicated. and very hopeful, but no.
What were your
no.
thoughts on the training? Like, I've noticed with what happened recently, they were talking about how they gave up. But would they actually dedicate themselves to the training? Did we do a good job training them, our military, or
we
they
tried
never
to train them. You can't
Yeah.
train. All right, try to train I don't know. Maybe I could train my dog to go on patrol, and carry a rifle, and I mean that's the level. I mean I'm
like their
exaggerating.
mentality was just such that they really weren't gonna? They don't
you know,
care. Or?
They don't care. I drove one afternoon. Me and a friend. We had to go drive into Kabul. I was in. This when I was in Bagram. It was about 40 miles away. And so we loaded up our weapons and all of that. And we got into this beat up truck and we just went for it. And I'm watching as we're driving, you come upon these little villages and these little enclaves of 4 or 5 mud huts. And there are people squatting down and just having lunch or whatever. They're just talking, chilling out, having tea. Relaxed. The vibe was relaxed, not a care in the world. When I was in Iraq on the roads there, I could see if bad stuff was happening in a given town because of the body language of the people, right? You could see the fear in their eyes. You could see them scanning, looking. You could smell the fear. I never smelled that once in Afghanistan, no matter where I was. It was, this is cool. This is how we live, man.
So they just had a totally different mindset.
Yeah, they don't care. They're cool the way they are. They are. You hear people saying, "Oh my God, how can they live like that?" Well, guess what, everybody? Guess what? The West is the aberration. We're the aberration.
Right.
The rest of the world. Let me tell you something. I've been around, and I always thought that the U.S. and Europe were like the normal state of civilization, of people, and how they lived. But the truth of the matter is, and it's not an opinion, it's a statement of fact. Most of the world's a pretty savage, brutal place, man, where your life isn't worth $1.
Right.
And now I see what's happening in America and in the West and in Europe. We're going to throw that all away for what? For a stupid ideology that murdered 100 million people. I mean, this is crazy. I mean, that's what we're going to throw it away for.
Absolutely.
It's, seeing after what I've seen, I can't wrap my head around it.
Sure.
I really can't. But I understand why people, I understand why people, are just going along with it because, hey, I got a $500 cell phone. That's my biggest worry in life. Let me get the newest one. Take a walk on the wild side and you'll learn a little bit of humility, and gratitude towards what you have. But yeah, it's madness. I'm trying to live in my own little world now, just because, I get angry about it. But this, the Brandon song was my way of just, taking a little shot.
Nice.
Yeah.
I love it.
So,
Well
Was
done.
your time in Iraq before or after your time in Afghanistan?
before.
So you said that it wasn't what you expected. You thought it was going to be a desk job.
Yeah.
What did you?
Don't get me wrong. Even the desk jobs are dangerous.
Gotcha. Yeah. Right. Sure. Yeah.
It
there's
sounds like
risks
they
involved.
kind of
So what-
played you a little bit, I guess.
What kind of job were you thinking in your head? Like, what did you think that your responsibilities would be going over there and working a desk job? Can you share any of that, or is that confidential?
Yeah, no problem. I was told I was going to be working on a project renovating Iraqi police stations
Okay.
and doing project management, construction management, because I had a construction background. And yes, that's what I did. But having to go out there and look at these sites and go on these road trips through, I wasn't expecting that. I wasn't expecting someone to hand me a gun.
When you got over there and started doing that and interacted with other Americans, was it kind of like a bait and switch for everybody, or was your situation unique? Or did
No,
they just
it was.
did they kind of trick everybody into coming over there? And
Yeah, be behind a desk or twice.
yeah, don't worry
Be behind
about
a
it. He's just
desk,
gonna be hanging out at a safe
well,
police station.
actually, there was a lot. When the
You
guy
might have
who
to visit
the
a
guy who
job
brought
site.
me
You
over
just bring
there.
your hard hat and your rifle.
Yeah,
that's
he's just
all.
gonna need
Yeah,
your
yeah,
tools.
there was
and all your
there was some
tools.
of that. There was definitely some of that. And I was stupid enough to buy into it, but
Oh, you brought
It
a
was like,
hammer? You
"Oh,
need
it's
an
cool."
AK. Go to the market.
the guy said to me, go buy an AK on the open market. About
That's wild.
$300. $300
Wow.
will reimburse you. I'm like, well, what do I need that for? And then I found out very quickly why I needed it. you know,
Yeah.
very
Of course,
quickly.
you had to fill out a 4473 and submit to a background
Nothing.
check. When you got
Yeah, of course. Yeah, right.
Yes.
Good point.
How about
Mike.
fill
Yeah.
out this? I had the AK, I had an MP5, I had a couple of Glocks. I loved it.
Now, did you have experience with firearms outside of the military before you went out there? Because New York might as well be
Forget it.
in a communist country.
Yeah, no. I had basic firearms training when I was in the military 30 years before I went to Iraq.
Wow.
Rifle training. But on one of the Afghan gigs, I was given some very, very, very intense training, a 3-week course, personal instructor that was, I can't really go into all of that, but it was phenomenal. When it was done, I wanted to go another 3 weeks.
Wow.
Like, this is incredible. It was fantastic. And you walk out of something like that, your confidence level is just, it's just up there. It's, you really end up like fearing nothing,
Can you tell
for
us
the most
about that
part.
off the air sometime? Or
Yeah. Off the air,
Okay.
sure, man. Yeah. Don't you guys come out here, man? You'll have a ball.
Hey, let's
Can you
go.
tell us the nature of the Afghanistan job?
Well, I had 3 of them. 2
Okay.
of them were straight project construction management, and one of them was a combination of construction management and armed escorts, escorting dignitaries, that sort of thing. So I never knew which. I knew every day I was going to do a certain amount of construction management.
That's
But
a very strange combination, isn't
Yeah,
it?
isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah,
See,
pretty wild. Yeah.
I had experience from Iraq, and that's basically how I ended up getting that particular gig, because I had some friends and they said, yeah, this guy, he knows what he's doing. Let's bring him into this. And yeah, it worked out. It was great.
We need somebody to be a tea server / assassin.
A lot of that kind of stuff going
It's
on.
like, where do they get these? It's like, well, we need 2 of them. Maybe we could just hire one guy. He'll take care of the whole thing for us.
The whole thing. And we also need a short order cook. So if you
A
can do
short
that-
order.
No.
Short order.
Can you
cook
send
and
in Agent
assassin.
Rocco? Send Agent Rocco.
Actually, I'm the only guy in Afghanistan who ever built a pizza oven and made a pizza,
Oh, that's
Wow.
cool.
In it.
That's cool.
as far as I
That
know.
Nice.
That's really cool. Now, growing up in Long Island, over in if you're a native of Long Island, do you say in Long Island or on Long Island? Because in Staten Island, a lot of people say it's on Staten Island.
Grew up in Long Island.
In Long
Never thought
Island,
of it. In, is it on or
Yeah.
in?
I've had
grew up
knuckleheads
on-
in Staten Island tell me you're not
grew up in
inside
Long
the
Island."
island. It's like, no, that's the
Long
name of the
Island.
town, dopey. Just like you grew up in New York, not on New York.
Right.
So growing up in Long Island, it's not exactly a bastion of conservatives in New York, right? Were
No,
you
but this was a long
conservative
time.
during your upbringing, though? Were you?
Yeah, my
raised-
parents were conservative, but most of my friends were too, and their parents were. It wasn't even, to be honest with you, it wasn't even considered. I don't think I ever even heard the word conservative. I can remember my parents being rattled by what had gone on in the 60s and what was continuing in the early 70s. The terrorists, the leftist terrorist groups like the Weather Underground, Symbionese Liberation Army, that kind of thing. But I mean, it was basically, we all had the same common sense beliefs. That was it. We were all common sense people.
People were more normal back then.
Yeah, and you could have, well, yeah. I mean, normal in the sense that they knew how to
Yeah.
think. No one was telling them what to think.
Yeah. Didn't have a phone brainwashing them all day long. Yeah.
When I went to high school, nobody was trying to impress their political views on us. I don't even remember any of the. I don't think I ever heard the political views of any of my teachers.
Right.
Really?
And
It wasn't really allowed back then, I don't think.
no, nobody would do it. It was
Yeah,
it was
yeah.
it was considered unethical, which it is. It's
Right.
completely unethical. But things changed. Then the left infiltrated the education system. They did the Gramscian march through the institutions.
Sure.
And that was it. And it's been 50 years of that, and here we are.
Now, you talk about how they've infiltrated the education systems. I think another thing they've done a great job at is infiltrating the media. Do you remember the media being less biased back then? Because as far as I can remember, I do remember teachers espousing liberal political beliefs and pushing those on to us. I don't know that other people in my classroom maybe understood that's what was going on, but I could see it from a mile away.
Yeah,
And-
yeah. You're
Same
know,
thing
how
with the
old-
mainstream media, for
Yeah.
me, at least in my generation. What do you remember?
no, I I do not remember the mainstream media. Okay, the mainstream media back in the day, yes, it was considered liberal media by most people that I knew. And I hear the term liberal media, but there's a big difference between the mentality of the media today, the mentality of the media 50 years ago. 50 years ago, 40 years ago, I'll even say 30 years ago, people in the media and people, whether you were Democrat or Republican, we all loved our country. We all wanted the best for our country.
Right.
We loved our country. How we wanted to address issues and deal with problems in our country, that's where we would debate and that's where we differed. But at the end of the day, with some exceptions, I mean, there's always been communist politicians, you know, you go back to FDR, Henry Wallace, that whole crowd. But with few exceptions, most Americans and most American politicians loved America and wanted to do what was best for it. That's no longer the case.
Yeah. They've
It's
gone
no-
after
as you guys
patriotism.
know. As you
They've
guys know.
attacked patriotism on the left anyway.
You didn't hear, there was none of that back then. I mean, yeah, you had the crazies, you had the Abby Hoffmans in the 60s and the 70s, and they were more of a sideshow clown show. You know, you had the radical groups, the SDS, which morphed into the Weather Underground. They were just bad people. You know, they were just bad people. That's all they were. They were fringe elements, violent. Nobody had any respect for them. And that's one of the reasons why the left became so good at what they do, which is infiltrating and capturing all the cultural institutions and the government institutions. They realized that Americans were so disgusted with what the Weather Underground did, the Symbionese Liberation Army did, the SDS, when they become radicalized, what they did, blowing people up, killing people, that they said, this isn't like Russia during the revolution where violence is the key. We need to be quiet about this. We need to just very carefully and slowly grab hold of the educational system, undermine the systems quietly without violence. And they did it. They were, I got to say, I don't think respect is what I have for them, but I'm impressed with their resilience, and they're keeping the eye on the long ball for 50, 60 years now, if not longer.
That's right. Yeah.
They've
So-
got an evil, despicable goal, but they've done an excellent job at furthering that goal. Is that a
Yeah.
fair way to put it?
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
that, you know, at this point they've crossed over from despicable to satanic. And I don't mean that in a religious sense. I mean it's strictly in the
It's evil.
yeah,
it's
it's evil. What they believe in is evil. I mean,
When-
it's horrifying. It's horrifying. I mean, destruction of children. Come on.
Right.
What is
Right.
this?
Yeah.
So,
Right.
I mean, I'm hopeful that, you know, good people are going to look at all of this, and they are now, and they're going to push back, and they're going to be like, you know what, enough of this. You know, you see it at the school board meetings now, which is great.
That's very important because you talk about an evil agenda and you say destruction of children. A lot of people think abortion, but what also comes to my mind is the government, the leftist government, doing everything that they can to replace the parental role in a household.
Yes.
The government knows what's better for your children than you do, to the point where we hear reports of if a child comes to school and, for example, wants to identify as a different gender that day, that the parents are not allowed to know about this. So the teachers are not allowed to let the parents know. And what that insinuates is that the government, the school, the teachers know what's best for the child and know better than the parents, and the parents have no right to be involved in any of that. That's really what that comes down to.
Yeah.
It doesn't have so much to do with the merit of what exactly is going on. More has to do with removing the parents from that equation,
Yes.
right?
And
Them,
if you
Yes.
looked at history, certainly the government has always done a better job with people's children than their parents.
right?
Right? Yeah.
That's
Or
Pretty
as
good.
Reagan said, I'm from the government and I'm here to help. The
And
most
I'm here.
terrifying words anybody can hear. It's
absolutely.
true.
And you
Yeah,
said that
true.
you raised kids. What decade roughly was that you had kids that were coming up in school?
In the 80s and 90s.
And this was in New York,
No, this was in Rhode Island. Rhode
Okay.
Island.
not Iraq and Afghanistan, right? They didn't have to go to school in
God, no.
Iraq.
Jesus. Yeah. No, I saw with my children, I saw the beginnings of the hardcore indoctrination. I saw the beginnings of it. I remember at one point, I would give this talk. They have these career days, and they bring in parents, and have them talk to kids about what they do for a living. At the time, I was doing production. I had a small sound and lighting company, and so me and my assistant, we gave a talk. And I went into the bathroom, into the men's room, and it was a mirror, and it said, "You're looking at the most," and there was a sign above it, "You're looking at the most important person in the world." And I was like, "Whoa, wait a minute, man. This is not, no, this is not good.
Yeah.
This is not good. Not going to work out." And, we could talk about that for hours. I mean,
Right. What happens when you teach every kid that they're the most important thing in the world?
They end up on TikTok.
Well,
Look at me, I'm famous.
that is
yeah, that's
true.
a terrible thing. My
That's part of
son,
that too. I think it feeds into what you're saying, that was the analog version, and now we're seeing the digital version of it.
the digital
Well, it's
version.
the absolute opposite of Judeo-Christian values, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's
Yeah,
the exact
it's,
opposite.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's that, and it's also, it's a lie. It's a lie to young
Right.
people to tell them that you deserve, or the world is your oyster, or it's all going to be brought to you on a silver platter. My son said to me, when they were kids, they were big Michael Jordan fans. That he was the big basketball star, and I asked my oldest boy at the time. I said, so what do you want to be when you grow up? He goes, "I want to be like Michael Jordan and have a limousine and all of that." And I said, "Wait a minute." I said, "Do you understand?" I said, "You guys see Michael Jordan with all the hot babes and the beautiful cars and all the bling and all that. But what you didn't see was that when Michael Jordan was learning his craft, he was alone in the gym shooting 500 free throws while his friends were out partying, having a great time." I
Right.
said, "You have to work your butt off. Work your butt off if you want
10,000 hours,
something."
right?
Yeah, it doesn't matter what you want. You want to be,
Yeah.
you got to work your butt off. You want to be the greatest carpenter, you got to work your butt off. You want to be a phenomenal, inspiring teacher, you got to work. And this is not being taught to children today. It's not. It's
Right.
just not.
No, that's
Now,
exactly
it's
what
more
they've
likely
done, yeah.
that they're not going to hear that, depending on the school they go to. And that's not good. That's not going to be good for our country. It's not going to be good for our culture, man. Because
Do you think that this has led to the government, the left in particular, preaching this victimization sort of attitude that, hey, you were supposed to have all this, but you don't have it now
Don't have it,
because
no.
you've been wronged, and that's why. It's not because you didn't put in the hard work
right?
and you didn't make all those sacrifices. You talk about somebody who wants to be a professional athlete, they're sacrificing not only the time, the effort, they're not doing the things that other children their age are doing. Plus, you got to be gifted. You have to have physical ability, which is beyond your control, and you got to stay healthy, right? You got to not get hurt along the way, and you got to be in the right place at the right time. So there are a lot of things that have to, a lot of things have to fall into place there, but by pushing this attitude that you're the most important person in the world and that everything's going to be handed to you, when it doesn't happen, it's not the person's fault who told them that, right? They shift the blame elsewhere. They say, "Oh, well, it didn't work out that way because you've been wronged, right? You're oppressed, right? We got to go after the billionaires because they're the ones who did it. We got to tax the rich," and then they don't tell you how they define
Their
it.
fair share, Mike. Their fair share.
Your fair share. That's what
Pay
it's
your
called.
fair share.
Paying their fair share.
Fair share. What exactly is the fair share?
Yeah,
Has
good point.
anyone defined that yet?
All
What
of their
exactly
money.
is?
All
What
of it.
exactly? I think it was it Larry Elder, or was it Thomas Sowell who said, "Can somebody tell me what exactly is your fair share of something that someone else has earned on his own?"
Yeah, good point.
That's a good
This is
point.
it.
Yeah.
And the fair share, as we know, is there ain't none.
Right. Right.
There isn't any. There isn't any. I mean,
But that's allowed these people who were taught this and had these expectations, and now they haven't panned out. That's allowed the left and these politicians who fostered that principle to ultimately get a stronger hold on them, because now they're in a desperate state, right? Now they're in this situation where they haven't met those expectations. Everything hasn't been handed to them. And so they're going to turn back to the government and rely on them in order to make everything okay, right? They're
Yeah.
going to come in
Yeah.
and they're going to make everything okay.
Take care of me, mommy. You know.
But that's how isn't that how they've strengthened their party and their ideology?
Yeah, it is. It is, and create slavery.
Hmm.
You know, you don't
So-
toe their line. Guess what? The bennies get cut off. The free stuff gets cut off.
Yeah.
You know, it'll get to the point where your food will get cut off, your electric will get cut off. You either play ball with these people. If you're going to throw down with them and say, take care of me, you have to accept the possibility that they will turn on you someday.
Hmm.
And if you don't have a plan B, if you don't have something you're passionate about and you've worked hard at, guess what? They own you. They own you. It's a terrible, terrible thing. And I mean, I understand, you know, young folks have a hard time seeing that. You know, we older timers, you know, we don't, because we've seen how life really is, you know. You know, like I say to people, you don't get necessarily get wiser when you get older, but you get to see how the stories end.
Yeah.
And these kids, these young kids, man, I mean, there's a lot of good kids, that hard workers and all, but there's equally as many who aren't going to put out.
Sure.
They're not
And they,
putting
and
out.
they rigged the system. So, you know, their motivation to participate actively, where now you go to school and you have $500,000 in school loans, and then you go get $15 an hour. You know, why would they want to work, right? You know,
Yeah, it's
so it's a rigged
horrifying.
system. They've changed the
You know,
rules.
yeah, the colleges should be dragged on the carpet for that. They're selling these kids a bill of goods. Now,
Yeah.
I understand, you know, your libertarians and hardcore conservative people will say, well, nobody forced you to sign that loan. I get that, okay?
Mhm.
But you're a young person, you think you've been flogged by your society that says you have to have a college degree
Right.
to thrive in America. You're going to spend the money. You're going to get the loans if your parents can't afford to pay for it. You're going to get the loans. You're going to get into this incredible debt.
Right.
And most of the degrees, I mean, if you're going to take out the loans, get a degree in engineering, get a degree in the sciences. I mean, women's studies. What are you going to get out of
That'll
that?
be $1 billion, please.
Yeah. You know, and those degrees don't come cheap from
They're
like the
not
major
cheap.
colleges.
They're
No, they're
definitely not cheap.
What do you
That's-
do after that? I mean,
You take a
And they
class on
devalue that
basket
'cause
weaving.
now everybody, you know,
You
they wanna
either
give a
teach,
college degree to
you either
everybody.
Well,
teach. or
that's another
that's
good
it.
point. Chris says if everybody's got them, they're not worth
Yeah.
as much, right? It
Right.
becomes the new high school
true,
degree
yeah.
anyhow.
It really
True,
is.
That's a very good point. Yeah.
It's sort of like what they're doing with the dollar, right? Oh, we'll just print more of it, and that'll
Yeah.
be fine. We can always print more, and everybody can have some,
Yeah,
and there will be
inflation's
no
okay.
negative consequences whatsoever. What do you
Yeah.
think about this, Rocco?
Oh, what do I think about that? Keep printing. Let me know how. Let me know how much you enjoy paying $5,000 for a loaf of bread in a couple of years.
Yeah, right.
You know, because that's one of the dangers, as we know, is hyperinflation, and it just happened before. We don't pay attention to history anymore.
That's right.
You know, the left is too busy destroying history and trying to hide history and rewrite history. Instead, let's look at history: the good, the bad, and the ugly. We need to do that. No society can be ignorant of its history and survive. You can't.
Which is why they're erasing it. Yeah.
Which is
The
why they're
only
erasing.
positive I can see out of that is if you got $500,000 in student loan debt and a mortgage, and a couple of years, you'd be like, oh, well, that's just a couple of weeks worth of wages, right? Knocked it out. Bada bing,
It'll
bada
have to
boom.
be.
Done.
Yeah.
That'd be nice, huh?
No
Yeah,
more debt.
do my mortgage. Oh
Right.
man. Okay. Hey, babe. I'm gonna work 2 weeks to pay off the mortgage. I only owe
Right,
$5 billion on it, but you know,
That's right.
get it done. But
How
hey,
are
let's
prices over in-
talk about some music and some art and stuff like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sounds
About
good.
what's going on. What's going on in America with this? You know, it's fascinating for me to watch these rappers. You know, that one guy, Bryson Gray, and look him up. Look him up. He's a patriotic guy. He's a really straight up patriotic guy. He's a Christian. He's proud of his Christianity. He wears it on his sleeve, but he's not obnoxious about it.
That's the one that went to the top of the charts, right?
Yeah, he was one of them. Several have.
Should we
And
play
he
a little
did.
of it, Mike, or we can have Russ pull it up?
Yeah, look it up. Look up his. I think he
Might
uses
get-
the F word. I'm
Might
not.
get yanked for that. Yeah, we might get
Yeah,
yanked for that.
okay,
But
yeah,
People,
I
will
wouldn't-
check it out on their own. Say the name
Yeah,
one more
but-
time.
Bryson Gray.
Bryson
Ladies
Gray.
and gentlemen, Bryson Gray. Shout out
Bryson
to
Gray.
Bryson Gray.
Yeah, and
Careful
he's an
about curse words.
established guy. I mean, he's been around. He's he was a MAGA guy all the way.
He's wearing the red hat, right? In the video.
Well, he's one of them. Yeah, they all wear the red hat.
They all
Everybody,
wear the
except
red
me.
hat.
Yeah.
Except
I
you,
didn't-
you
I'm
wore the
like-
black hat.
I'm not wearing the red hat. Screw
Why'd
that.
you come up with the black hat?
I mean, I just liked it. I think it looks cool, man. It just
Yeah.
because I am cool, I need to look cool.
Nice.
Well,
that's
you are.
So
you put
uh,
make music great again on there.
Make
yeah,
music.
that's Lota Alexander. Yeah, that guy's awesome, man. He's got some. I mean, check these guys out. I mean, whether or not you really like rap, these guys are really good.
Yeah.
Alexander has some really moving, patriotic videos. I mean, they're not corny. They're not jingoistic, or they're just thoughtful. They're thoughtful, man. They get it. They get it.
I went through a rap
So,
phase in the 80s when I used to go to Long Island and visit my grandparents. I'd listen to WBLS back in the 80s. I don't know if you ever enjoyed any of the early rap, but I appreciated it. It was pretty
Yeah.
good music
yeah.
back then.
Yeah, I like
original
some
old
of it.
school
I like
rap,
some.
yeah.
I even like some of the modern stuff. I don't like the gangbanger stuff. To me, the problem I have
It
with
shifted that way, yeah.
it's that misogynistic take on women is, to me, it's a turn off. The violence, the mindless violence, and then on top of that, to me, it's a subject matter gets boring. You're always beating,
thing.
flogging
Yeah.
the same subject matter. It's like
Yeah.
whatever.
I got lots of money. I got all the girls.
Yeah, look at all my
The top
cars, look
two,
at my
all
ice.
that. It's like I got more bling than you. Okay, that's
I'm
cool.
on a boat.
But
Russ
there are
has
some
a
very
lot of
thoughtful, very this guy Tom McDonald. Tom McDonald.
Oh, I like Tom.
Actually, somebody in the comments just said before you said that, he said, look up Tom McDonald also.
yeah, I like him. He's great.
He's
I've been following
Canadian.
him
He's
for a while.
Canadian.
Yeah.
Hold on, I gotta fix my thing here.
He did some
Actually,
pretty,
amazing.
pretty cool songs during the pandemic early on too.
Yeah, he's brilliant. Absolutely
Mm-hmm.
brilliant. His production is great. It's him and his girlfriend. That's
Yeah,
it,
that's
man.
just the two of them. Yeah, he didn't sign with a label, right? He's independent. Yeah.
No label, nothing. They did it all on their own. They're rolling in the money, and I'm so happy for them because their messages are
Mm-hmm.
provocative, interesting. They go up against all of this woke nonsense and
Right.
totalitarian, censorious crap, and they're young, They have a big following. So I mean, that's promising to see young artists who are looking at what's going on today in terms of people trying to shut you down, and if you don't have their same opinion, and fighting against that and attracting a big following, which means that there are a lot of people who are saying like, wait a minute, no, we don't want to go there. We don't want to go there.
It's about
I mean,
time.
At the end of the day, this is America, man. This is America.
Right. Well, we can
This
hold
is
on to
America.
it, hopefully. Yeah.
This is free. This is a country where we value our freedom and our freedom to express ourselves, even if our opinions are idiotic. Because in the America that I love, if you say something idiotic, well, guess what's going to happen? Someone's going to come along and say, you're an idiot, and here's why. And then you're going to go back and forth, and so on and so forth, and you're probably going to remain friends. 'Cause I remember that back in the day when I was a kid. Yeah, there were Democrats and Republicans, and we'd have these knockdown, drag out political discussions. When my friends would come over, I don't remember, I was Democrat back in like the early '80s, and then I became a Republican. Then I didn't care anymore. I didn't stop following it. But no matter who you went up against, except like someone who was like mentally ill, nobody screamed at anybody.
Mm-hmm.
You'd have some spirited, heated arguments and discussions, but nobody screamed at anyone. No one unfriended anyone. No one broke up families over this stuff. This is
Right.
now at a point, and it's I blame it on the left. They're the ones throwing this down, man. They're throwing this down. If you don't toe the party line, you're a persona non grata. We're going to dox you. We're going to call your employer.
Right.
Right.
Technology's there. I think technology to do that stuff is recent. I mean, all you got to do is like click on your computer, send an email to a company where this guy works, and destroy. Why do you want to destroy people? This is the thing.
Mhm.
Why do you want to destroy, man?
Yeah.
We're all going through this life one time.
Absolutely. Yeah.
That's it. I mean,
Everything you're
why do
saying
you
so
wanna
so on
destroy
target. Yeah.
Now, as
Well,
far
they-
as the music, you said that you generally tried to stray away from politics in your music.
Yeah, and the reason for that is because I don't enjoy people who do political stuff. Like, I don't know if you guys remember him way back
Bono.
when. No, I like Bono. Now, Bono does political stuff, but he's a very thoughtful man,
Huh.
in my opinion. Very thoughtful man. And
Doesn't
he-
irritate you when he starts talking politics and
Yeah,
standing on the
yeah.
stage? It's like, shut up and sing.
Just sing, exactly. On the other hand, I saw what's his name? The guy, the lead singer for Stained,
Aaron
Lewis.
Yeah, no.
You saw
He
that
donated
song.
tickets to the NRA banquet in New Jersey a couple of years ago that I attended.
Yeah, he's wow, what a phenomenal singer and a writer. But I
Sure.
saw a clip of him doing a concert. It was a couple of years ago, I guess. And in the middle of the concert, he went into this. He's a totally right-wing guy. In the
Mhm.
middle of the concert, he went into this rant about the left and the Democrats, and I'm watching this thing and I'm thinking to myself, that's not cool.
Mm.
It's just not cool. All right, you
Little
want
too
to throw a
much.
little zinger out there and to introduce a song. All right, cool. But I'm not even good with that. And you got guys like Bruce Springsteen. It's
Yeah, I
like-
was just going to mention him. Yeah.
Ruin.
who I never liked anyhow. I never liked his
Er,
music. I always thought he was a phony.
I'm with
baloney.
you. I'm with you.
But he's such a
I-
good singer, though.
Yeah, he's a good
But,
singer.
he's joking
No, he
about
is. He
that.
is.
Come
What
on.
he does.
He
know.
is, and he is. It's like different,
From a musical viewpoint, I think he's got a decent voice for what he does. But I just don't. To me, he's fraudulent. He just shot through with fraudulence. I just can't put my finger on it.
I
And it's
hear
not
you.
only because of his
Yeah.
politics. It's like there's something fraudulent about that guy. He's not a
totally hear
working class hero, man.
Yeah,
I ain't
come
getting
on.
I ain't getting that. The Sex
Born
Pistols,
in
the
the
Sex
US.
Pistols, Johnny Rotten. They were working class guys,
They were
all right?
legit. Yeah.
No,
No,
they
they
were
lived
legit. I love Johnny Rotten. He's still out there now.
Yeah.
Who are
He's
your
a right-
influences? Who are your
he's a
favorite?
right-wing- He's a right-wing guy. Crazy, man. Like I
Oh.
said, the right is now the counterculture.
But
Yeah,
it's also the opposite too. Somebody wrote in here, Jeremy Miller in the comments over here says, "Rage Against the Machine is now rage on behalf of the machine."
Yeah. Yeah. No, he's right, man, because those people are, they're hawking the vax. you
Right.
know.
They refuse to play any concerts unless the
Isn't
venue
that
requires
something?
it, right?
Isn't that- Now that band was a
Everybody must comply.
counterculture. That band was a counterculture band. That band was like hardcore, screw the system and all that. I loved them. I loved their music. I loved that singer, Jack Della Rocha, I think was his name. But I hated the guitar player, Tom Morello, because
Tom
he's
Morello?
a commie. He's
Oh,
a
yeah.
commie. I mean, he's a hardcore commie.
Uh-huh.
And I watched the show with a concert when they played in Cuba. This is years ago. It's got to be 10 years now. But Morello and the drummer and I think even the bass player, they formed another band called Audio Slave with Chris Cornell.
Sure. Coaches.
Phenomenal,
Right?
Chris Cornell.
Yeah.
Chris Cornell, I love that dude, man. Phenomenal. God bless.
God rest his soul, yeah.
Anyhow, they did this show in Cuba, and it wasn't Cornell, but one of the guys in the band, it could have been Tom Morello, is like kissing the butt of Castro as he's like talking about how honored he is to be in Cuba, and I'm thinking to myself, if it was me, I would be like, freedom. Let your people go, Castro. Let them go.
Yeah.
But it was disappointing. But anyhow, I don't know where I was going with this, but
It's like China now. You see this with all.
We're
the
saying that
athletes
Rage
and
Against the
everything.
Machine is now rage
Yeah,
on
no.
behalf of the machine. That's
what happened there, man?
They had the song "F you, I won't do what you tell me," right?
Yeah, yeah,
Now
yeah,
it's
yeah.
like
Awesome
now it's
song.
like "F you, you
Awesome
must do
song.
what we tell you."
do what the government and all these nannies and Karens or whatever you call them tell you to do.
Right.
I mean, what happened with that? But to me, it's crazy that the right is the counterculture. We're the cool people now. We are the coolest of the cool. We are. We used to be called the squares. They're the squares.
Right,
Bunch of
right.
bad men over
Yes.
here.
That's it, man. So that's my mentality. But no, I don't do. This next album is not going to be overtly political. It won't be like naming names or any of that. I'm just like, it's not my thing. But the drift of it is going to be, it talks about the whole COVID scam and all of that.
Mm.
Then of course there's Brandon, right?
Hey, Brandon, love it.
And then talk about some of the cultural ticks that I think are not good for us. The cell phone addiction,
Mm.
which isn't, of course, just in America. It's worldwide.
Mm.
We just like people just like stare at these things all day long. I mean, when
Yeah,
I go
the
through
song you sent me that's going to be on your new album is
yeah,
about.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
If you have that there and you can cue it up, yeah,
Yeah,
give,
we should do that.
give your listeners a sneak peek at the next album because it's going to be a really good album.
So
I
what
tried to make
inspired you to
progress.
get in the studio? Have you been making music all along? Because when you go through your timeline, you started out making music overseas, and then you joined the military. Do I have that right?
Yeah, in between, I mean, I played in bands in America. We were pretty popular for a time. We were very, very good too. I had a band in Rhode Island called the Flaming Donuts of Jesus.
Wow.
Flaming Donuts of Jesus.
And I think there's some stuff. The old singer put some stuff up on YouTube. We were really good. We were really good, man. It was kind of like prog rock, real proggy stuff,
Gotcha.
But then there came a time where I just kind of burned out on it.
And what are you
and,
playing? What instrument are you playing?
Now I play. I do everything on my albums except for the guitar. I work with the guitar player in Rhode Island. His name is Mike Fitzgerald. He's phenomenal. He played in my Donuts band 30 years ago, or 25 years ago. And we work remotely, over the internet. And we just have a sense of each other's likes and dislikes musically.
Mm-hmm.
And he's he's a virtuoso player. He's also a music teacher. He teaches music in high school. And he's one of the nicest guys I've ever known in my entire life. He's so positive, and he's just chilled out. And he's a pleasure to work with. He's just a pleasure to work with.
Cool.
So the way it works is I'll lay down, on this album, by nature, I'm a piano player. That's what I came up, through that. On this album, I wanted to do something a lot different than the first two albums, which are very keyboard based, and there's a lot of lush arrangements and that sort of thing. On this album, I wanted something raw. I wanted to go to another level with it. I don't like to repeat myself. I get dissatisfied with what I'm doing. And so I was speaking to Mike, and I was like, you know what, man? I said, I'm feeling real depressed right now because I'm fishing and I'm searching for the direction this album's going to go in. And I said, I want it to be harder. I want it to be more stripped down. And so what I did, I usually begin writing the songs on piano. On this album, I left the piano aside, and I just started writing grooves on bass. And then I just have a whole list of grooves that I've recorded. And then I'll listen to one and go, that could be cool. And then I'll throw a drum track on top of that. And if it works, the easiest part for me is to come up with a melody line, vocal melody. I usually get that the first take. The more difficult end of that is lyrics. Now, what's the song going to be about? I don't know. So this album is basically going to be, guitar, drums, bass, and singing. That's it. Very stripped down, more in your face.
When you were back east, are you playing places like CBGB's and places like that?
I'm not playing anything, man.
No, I'm saying I'm talking about back with your previous bands and things of that nature, trying to get a sense of.
No, we were playing in Rhode Island.
Gotcha.
We were a local band. We played Massachusetts, a couple of gigs in Connecticut.
Is the Rathskeller still around in Massachusetts?
Oh, Jesus.
It's right across. I think that was right across from Fenway. It was real big back then.
I know there was another one, Steven Tyler, the singer of Aerosmith. He had a club. What was it called? Mamakins.
Gotcha.
I don't know if that's around anymore. No, we had a good following, a good local following. We had some interest, but then, again, your life gets in the way. You're raising families, people having kids. You get bored with it. You run out of steam, whatever.
Sure.
And then, like I said, I put it down for years. But all the years I spent working overseas in the combat areas, I started writing songs in my head because that's where all the writing happens anyhow. 90% of it, the kernel of the idea of the song. It happens, I'm writing all day long as I'm walking around the house. And then you sit down and you hash out, the parts and the arrangements. And while I was in Afghanistan, I started writing in my head. And I'm like, you know what, man, I got 10 songs there. I'm going to go, when I get done with this stuff, I'm going to buy some gear. I'm going to record it and, and see where it goes. And that's what happened, basically. I got to Italy, and, I worked my last gig. I bought some gear. I didn't buy a lot of gear. I bought, what I thought I needed. And that was it. And then I needed a singer, and I'm like, oh, man, I can't find a singer. And I thought, okay, let me try singing. And it worked out. I was like, hey, you know what? My voice isn't too bad. And it's actually okay. And it just went from there, So now, like I said, I do all the arrangements. I write all the parts. I record the bass, drums, keys, whatever else needs to be done. And then I send those parts, the rough drafts, over to Mike, the guitar player in the States. And he's got a really nice studio of his own. And then he goes back and forth. He goes like, here, I'll give him a rough idea. I'll say, yeah, Mike, how about like a chug over here or some chunky stuff over here? And then he'll send me a guitar demo. And then we'll hash it out. I'll say, well, yeah, I love that bit. Yeah, I'm not crazy about that bit. Could you try something like that? And then, boom, it's done. So, we work very quickly.
Nice.
But, we've been working for 20 years, so.
Yeah, you got that chemistry. Rocco, do me a favor. We lost your video feed. Can you try clicking the camera button? And
we
then
can hear you
click it
fine,
again?
but we lost the feed. We want to see
Yeah,
you.
we can hear you
Hold on a
fine.
second.
I miss seeing you.
A handsome Italian guy.
That's right.
That's
it
just
back
what
yet?
we needed on this program, right? Another handsome Italian guy. The FBI is going to be watching this
This
program.
is-
Too many
Yeah.
Italians in one place at the one time. That's what RICO stands for.
Yeah,
Right?
that's right. That's right.
No, it
All right,
it
hold on,
says
hold on a
waiting
second.
for IVCam connection. I guess.
Is that what you're getting?
Yeah.
All right, you know what? I'm gonna switch cameras right now. I'm gonna go to the one on the computer.
Oh,
All right, cool.
okay.
Just
And
give me-
Russ, while he's doing that, the
this
song
up.
that we were discussing is in the doc down on the second page there. There's a drivegoogle.com. That link there should take you to it if you're able to access it that way.
Okay.
I got to get up now.
Okay, am I
Not like I
back?
don't ask for this stuff ahead of time.
All
What a
right,
novel
all right.
concept.
I'm gonna throw you under the bus in a second here. Hold on a minute.
You know
Let
what?
me look at my
I'm gonna
text
get up
messages
and I'm
from
gonna
3
start driving
days
the
ago.
bus, and then you'll get run over the bus.
There we go. We got Rocco.
All
back.
right,
Okay, cool.
back.
There he is.
Yeah, it looks like you got a nice setup there too. Can you tell us anything about your home studio? You got some nice speakers and
Yeah,
Stuff
I've got
going
some
on.
nice studio monitors.
Yeah.
Nothing fancy,
And
but
they can't try to rob you because you're in Italy.
right.
It's just so peaceful here, man.
Mm.
Very peaceful. Nobody messes with you here.
Ah,
Really?
It's that simple.
Yeah, we
There's
need
no
more
gun
urban
rights in
housing.
Italy, though, right? No gun rights?
Nah, forget it.
Yeah.
You can't. I mean, just to get a shotgun license to go hunting is ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
So let me ask you this, Rocco. What prompted you to go over there?
When I was working those gigs, I mean, they paid a lot of money, and if you stay out of the U.S. for 330 days in any 365-day rolling period, you did not pay federal tax up to $110,000 in income. If you did not do that, you paid crazy taxes.
Full vote.
It's
Full
a full
free.
vote.
Full
And
free.
so when I ran quick math, I was like, this is insane. I may as well take money that I would have paid for those taxes and buy a place. And then I could just kind of hang out in that place if a contract doesn't run for a year. Because a lot of them don't. They'll run 7, 8 months, 9 months, and then you got 3 months, you got to stay out of the country, almost 3 months. And it worked out. And it was never meant to be a permanent residence. But I met a girl here.
Ah, there it is. The
I
truth.
met a British gal who was here with her mom on vacation, and that was it, man.
That's how it always starts, right?
Yeah, that was it. So, this worked out for her very well because she's got family in Britain, and it's a quick, cheap flight there. And so here I am.
That's great. Great to hear. Very interesting story. Long, lengthy journey, and
Yeah,
brings us
yeah.
to Let's Go Brandon, right?
Let's go, Brandon. Imagine that, huh?
Yeah, that is great. Russ, were you able to get that second tune that we're bringing up over here?
yeah. Is it called Stupid Phone?
That's it.
Yeah,
Stupid
that's
phone,
it.
man.
Yeah.
Let's hear
Let
it.
me let me give a little background.
Yeah. Give us the intro.
Well, like I said, we've all run into people in airports, smacked into them because they're bent over in their phones.
Some
Every
people
young
walk into
person I
fountains.
see is walking around holding their phone. I'm like, this is ridiculous. You're being fed crap. I mean, the powers that be, so to speak, they know what you're doing, and they're going to funnel in this crap. And you're living through your phone now. You're not having normal human interaction. And not only that, there are biological changes going on with these kids. There's this thing, I can't remember, it's a syndrome where they get like a hump in the back of their neck from doing this.
Text neck, right? Is that what it's called? Liberty, you know a lot about that, right? You're always...
Yeah.
Is that what
Yeah,
it
I
is?
saw that. Diger's hump? Well, I don't know if I just made that up. It's some kind of hump, yeah, but I know what he's talking about. It's called, quote unquote, text neck.
Text neck.
Yeah, it's all wrong, man. It's like, get out and live. Human interaction face to face. You don't chat with your friends on a phone. Looking at them on a screen. Go meet them. Go meet them for a drink somewhere. Chill.
Now with the new metaverse that Facebook is going to release, you'll have your own avatar. So you want to
Metaverse.
Yeah.
Metaverse. Anyhow, so that's the background on the song, basically.
Nice. Let's hear it, Russ.
All
Hit it,
right.
Russ.
Hit it, Russ.
Oh, for God's sake.
All right, here we go.
I got news for all you brain-dead losers staring at your phone every single day. You're not thinking as the world is sinking, and your silly playtime's getting in the way. You won't let go, cell phone is your life goal, keeping you from drowning in the true reality. Put that thing down, take a look around. The world's falling down while you're staring at a screen. I love my stupid phone. I cannot think on my own. I love my stupid phone. I cannot think on my own. I love my stupid phone. I cannot think on my own. I love my stupid phone. I spend my life inside a screen, believing everything I see. My brain is melting to my knees. Stare at your phone like a mindless drone, sucking up the poison that is dripping from the screen. That poison's honey to those making money, telling you their lies while they're raking in the green. Tick tock, your mind is in a headlock, looking at the shit that belongs in a latrine. Put that phone down, take a look around. The world's burning down while you're staring at a screen. I love my stupid phone. I cannot think on my own. I love my stupid phone. I cannot think on my own. I love my stupid phone. I cannot think on my own. I love my stupid phone. A real life just frightens me. I'd rather live in fantasy. It's easier to be controlled by faceless people I don't know. They tell me how to think and act. Their vicious lies become my fact. My brain is melting to my knees.
Yeah, all right.
That's awesome.
Woo!
Love it. DG
Yeah,
in the
it's cool,
comments
too.
says has a little Billy Idol touch. I agree. Love it. Absolutely love
Yeah,
it.
it
yeah,
does.
yeah.
Yeah.
I like your voice. It's really good. It reminds me a
Thank
little
you.
bit of Danzig, Glenn Danzig, a little bit.
Oh,
Yeah, I can go all over the place. I mean, I just, yeah, whatever.
It's cool.
I-
It's really good production. I can tell you put a lot of work into that. How long does it take to make a song like that?
It depends. It depends. The writing usually goes very quickly. The production can be tricky. Not so much on this album. On the last two albums, there was a lot of keyboard work, a lot of piano work, a lot of like lush voices. I had this
Yeah.
great woman singer doing some background bits here and there. And that stuff takes time to mix, you know, because you're trying to separate out the instruments and get everything clear and yet get the entire song cohesive, you know.
Right.
But this album so far hasn't been difficult because, you know, I'm leaving the keyboards out and I'm leaving the lush arrangements out. So it's just drums, bass, guitars, and vocals. And so, yeah, it can take like that song to mix down. That's not a finished mix. It's about 95% there, the one you just heard.
Okay.
You wouldn't even notice the last 5%. But that one took, I don't know, 3 days, 3.5, 4 days.
Really? Oh, I would
Yeah.
have thought longer. That's not bad. Wow.
Yeah, I mean, I've spent 2 weeks on a mix. I mean, there's a song on the second album that I just love. It's called Salvation. That's lush and beautiful and has, you know, these really interesting parts. But there's so much going on that song took weeks to mix.
You know what I'd love to do with that song, if you're okay with it? I'd love to do a bit for the show where I go down the city and just see people there zoning out on their phone, and I put it on like a portable speaker, and I just get closer and closer.
Yeah, do it,
until they-
man. Yeah,
Is
yeah.
that all right?
Yeah,
All right.
yeah. Sure,
Let's see if they see
yeah.
me coming.
I feel like your song could be like your song is really, really amazing production. I love your voice. I love the breakdowns. I love everything. And I
Thank you.
also feel like it could be used at like a dinner table when like the kids aren't listening and the father's like, hold on a
Right,
second.
right. Yeah, that's why I was thinking of that bit. It'd be like, you see how long it takes them to hear the lyrics, and then they'll be like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Yeah, we what it's
Yeah.
all about. Yeah. Yeah, one of my
It
friends.
says everything.
Yeah, one of my friends, I sent him a copy of it. You know, I give people a sneak peek at it,
Yeah.
and he says, "I'm bringing this down to play for my son right now."
Hey, maybe that's what could get it to
Yeah.
take off. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's we could talk about that end of things all day long.
I love playing music on the show. This is great because we haven't been able to do a lot of this, you know.
A
We should
listening
play your
party.
your hungry song, Mike. We should play your hungry song so Rocco could hear it.
Yeah, I heard you're a musician. I heard you're a great guitar player.
Oh, thank you very much. Whatever you
Yeah,
heard,
but
all
if-
lies.
You
All
have any of your
lies.
stuff? You have any of your stuff handy, man? I'd like to hear some of it. Pop it
Yeah.
on. Come on.
Let's
Yeah.
do it.
I don't want to put you on the spot. I mean, I know how that is. I mean, you know, but if if you're up to
That's
it.
fine. If Russell has it, he can play it if he'd like.
I don't.
If not, I'll send you a link. We did a video
Put it in the
a
doc.
couple of years ago where we went out into Manhattan, right over by the VA, and we handed out a bunch of care packages to homeless veterans.
Cool.
And for the video that we made to raise awareness and help get donations to the Recon Sniper Foundation, we ultimately wrote and produced a song. My uncle, my godfather, was pretty instrumental in getting that done. Jazzy
Nice.
Ralph, who we mentioned before, I could say this now. So before we got on the air, we were telling Rocco, okay, you know, this is a family show and it's going to be over the airwaves tomorrow. And just we're not saying that you would otherwise, but just remember, don't say any curse words. And Chris said, otherwise, we're going to have to call you Jazzy Ralph if you use curse words on the air. Jazzy Ralph is a musician out of New York originally who was also involved with that song. We co-wrote the song together. He played the piano. And my godfather, Gary Corbett, who unfortunately passed away earlier this year, he was the keyboard player for Kiss in the early 90s. He was the keyboard player for Cinderella.
Cool,
Played
man.
with countless artists. Won
Yeah.
Grammys with the Marley Brothers. And I was blessed enough to be able to do that song where he took the reins on production and played all the keyboards. And so we had that finished product, and that was the music for that video that we put together with the homeless veterans in New York City. So that's ultimately what we did with that. I don't know if Russ has that MP3 handy. He's more than welcome to play it
I
if he
don't.
does.
I'd love to hear it. I'd love to
Yeah,
hear
we
it.
got to play it. Yeah.
You're gonna have to put a link
Do you
in
want
the
to see
doc.
that free or the YouTube link or the video with the veterans?
Yes.
What's that?
Do you want to play the song or the video on YouTube?
Well, I thought that Russ would have had the song somewhere because we opened up when Uncle Gary passed away. We opened up the program by playing that MP3. So I don't know if Russ does that, have that handy. But yeah, that was a great experience to be able to do something like that with him, because growing up it was always, that's Uncle Gary. You know, it's not on a professional. You know what he does for a living. You get to visit him while he's out on the road and he's touring and everything like that. But never really collaborated with him, and I'm just glad that had the opportunity to do so before he left us. So.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So do you still play? Are you gigging? Are you
No. We're just trying to save our country right now. I guess you could do that musically as well, like you're doing.
Yeah.
It's a little more rare, but trying to get the word out to the Mike G in the Morning family, everybody who's listening, and fighting my battles in court. Obviously, all of our rights are under attack. We're trying to protect our Second Amendment rights in court.
Yeah. They know if they can get those guns, that they can just steamroll us.
Right. Nothing else would be stopping them at that point. So
that's it. You look at what's happened in Australia. It's shocking.
Yeah.
Yeah. Actually, I have a video that we can play at some point today if we get to it. That just came out of Australia yesterday about some of the new stuff going on over there, and they're starting to issue jail time now to people.
Yeah. Nice, huh?
Certain things. Yeah, it's crazy.
I mean, here's the thing. But this has always been the case. There's always at least 100 times more of us than there are of them.
Right.
So, maybe I'm sounding naive and idealistic here, but I still have a problem coming to that conclusion. Like, oh my God, you look what happened in Nazi Germany. Look what happened in the Soviet Union. Look what happened in China.
Sure.
We're talking a very small number of people here who are pushing this garbage.
Sure.
And who are trying to fulfill this agenda. They're minute. I mean, if you look at the radical left in the West, there's not many of them.
Right.
Not many of them. I mean, the nexus of it all is, of course, in academia. It's a transmission belt. These people concoct these crazy theories that normally would be like, like you look at them and go like, okay, man, go back to your room and write some more crazy stuff.
Right.
But they have a transmission belt now with the media. And then these ideas, these crazy notions become, passed on to the media. And all of a sudden you're seeing programs, that are pushing ideas completely against common sense. It's like, no, man, no. What are you talking about? Because I dress up like a lobster, I'm a lobster.
Bring in the dancing lobsters.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to be, yeah.
I mean, yeah.
You don't even have to dress like one. You can just say you are.
I identify as a lobster. I got into and I stay away from this now. When I stopped doing the political writing, I just, because I spent so much time on forums, debating people, and it's like, what's the point of all of this?
Right.
Did you happen to find that Rush Limbaugh thing we spoke about, Rocco, by any chance?
You know what? I forgot all about it. All about it.
Well, tell everybody about that, because we were talking about that.
Yeah, that was a thrill.
Yeah.
Years ago, I wrote articles for American Thinker and David Horowitz's Front Page Mag, and there's a whole story how I ended up doing that. I fell into that. It was crazy. It's crazy. So anyhow, I wrote this piece. The name of the piece was "The Audacity of the Democrats." It's still out there, and it really was a good article. I mean, I'm very critical of my own work. I'm very critical of my work, my music, everything. I beat myself up terribly at times, but when I got done with that article, I'm like, this is a really good article. And it went out there, and it created quite a buzz. And Limbaugh picked up on it, and he read it on the air. He read part of it on the air, I'd say about a third of it, maybe a half. And that day was fantastic, because all my friends were calling me. All the people in the political writing circle were like, dude.
It's almost as much of an honor as being on like the Mike G in the Morning show.
Yeah, man. No,
I'm there.
Man, I'm having a ball here, man.
Right,
I'm having
right.
a ball. I want to come back already. I want to come
Oh,
back.
Rushbell. Well, we will certainly have you back.
We
Is
definitely.
there anything else you want to know that our listeners need to go to cosmicorderband.com, right?
Yeah. You can you can check out some of the other the first two albums, and if you want to buy some nice merchandise, we got some cool T-shirts and the usual stuff. But it's very high quality stuff, and
they have to share the music video with everybody, don't they?
yes, yeah, I'd love to see it go viral because that would be fun, man.
Absolutely.
In my imaginary world, I would love to tune into a Trump rally in 2024 and hear "Let's go, Brandon,"
Right.
and fall off my couch laughing like a lunatic.
Well,
it would be very funny.
I mean, it's got a fair amount of views for how long it's been online.
Yeah, it's doing all right. It's closing in on 10,000.
Yeah,
The way the YouTube game works. I mean, I've been reading about that because I never. To be honest, when I write music, I write it for myself. If I'm not happy with it,
Sure.
it's not going to be published. I mean, it's about what I need to create, and if it's not up to snuff, it doesn't go out there. So I'm not writing for any target audience or writing for anybody to like my music. If you like it, great. It's wonderful.
Yeah.
But and so because of that mentality, I haven't spent a lot of time, marketing and doing that sort of thing. Because to me, it's just the joy of creating music and producing it
Right.
is enough for me. It has been for a long time. But after this little bit, I'm looking into the science of marketing on social media, and it's fascinating. It is.
There's a lot to it. Yeah. Well, and
There's
like
a
you were
lot to it.
mentioning earlier, you can pay. You can get.
Yeah, you it's like you have to.
Yeah.
Another thing, when you go on YouTube, a lot of times you'll see videos, right? I'm a real history buff, so I do a lot of reading about World War II, that sort of thing. And I'll see these videos about a tank battle or whatever, and there'll be an arrow, red arrow, and then a question mark at the end of it. And I'm like, what is this? And I'm looking at the thumbnail, and I'm like, what are they pointing to? And then I have to click on the video. Well, I discovered today that that's a marketing technique.
Oh, okay.
That
Sure.
there may not be anything there, and in fact, there probably isn't anything there. But for some reason, that red arrow, and it worked for me. It's worked for me. It's roped me right in.
Yeah, it's
So,
like a visual thing, some sort of
yeah.
psychological techniques in a way. Yeah, there's a lot of that.
Yeah,
you're
it's
right,
to me, it's fascinating. So I'm looking at all of that. I'm like, wow, this is how it's done.
Like clickbait,
this
I
is
guess.
Clickbait, right? And that's where it's at. So if you really want to, get yourself around and market yourself, you really got to study this stuff, or you have a lot of money and pay somebody to do it for you.
Yeah, some of these, these folks that are making a lot of money on those platforms have a lot of people behind the scenes doing it for them. You just never see those people, but there's a lot involved in it. And making videos isn't simple. You made the video yourself, or did you have somebody do that?
Oh, me?
Yeah.
I made the video in one day.
Did you? Okay. Yeah, no, it looks good.
Yeah, I printed out a couple of.
No, it's funny how you did that. Yeah.
I just this is going to be quick and dirty, and I'm going to have fun doing it.
Did Russ find the audio clip, Russ, or no luck on that? I was hoping Rocco could hear it before we let him go, but
I told you, put a link in the doc. What, did you ignore me again?
At least you're polite. That's all.
Yeah, that's okay.
If you're not talented,
it was sort of off the cuff.
Just leave it on the doorstep.
If you go to the YouTube,
Okay, well,
the Mikey in the Morning
excuse
YouTube
me.
channel.
So it's better than nothing. If Russ does not have 3, I did put the link in for the YouTube in the doc for us.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Yeah, I just didn't know if he wanted the MP3, but
Yeah.
Oh,
MP3 would probably be better, but
if you could see the video, then it'll be the full production. Well, that's actually the wrong video. So
here, let me get.
Yeah, that's actually the wrong video.
Well, don't blame me for it.
that's not it.
No, that is not it.
How is that not it? Oh, it looks
That's
like
not
it.
it.
I'll find it. The homeless one, right? The one with you in the city.
Yeah, the homeless.
Yeah.
Guy. When
I'll
you
get
say
it.
the city, so here's the problem, Philly Chris. When you say the city,
you
usually mean Philadelphia,
right? I mean New York.
When someone in New York says the city.
That's right.
They mean Manhattan.
Here it is.
Is there much of a
You're gonna have
difference
to
at
be
all?
more specific.
So for our producer who doesn't realize that we have a YouTube channel called Mike G in the Morning.
Oh, shut your butt.
For everybody's listening.
I guess
on
I
this.
clicked on the wrong
Yeah,
one.
that's okay. No, Liberty, you weren't wrong because it was in that video too. But I think this is a better version of it. I just want to rock
Yeah.
with it here. I'm proud of what
yeah,
you guys
that's
did. I
good.
think it's the top, all the way at the top of the dock, Russ. Thanks.
Oh, okay.
If you look at the thumbnail, it's a
Yeah.
veteran in a hat
This
and a
guy?
wheelchair.
Plus,
Yeah, I
Rocco's
see it.
a-
Yep. I
Rocco's-
can see it on
Rocco's a
my
mu-
end. Yep.
Got a real music guy on here, so I might as well play some music.
Yeah.
I could stand in one place, but I move 'cause I'm hungry.
What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Mike G from Mike G in the Morning here. We're doing something very special here in New York City today. I'm with my brother Dominic Leon, who's a veteran, and we're giving out care packages to homeless veterans. Right, Dom?
That's right. We're giving care packages out to homeless veterans, t-shirts, deodorant, lotions, little bags to keep everything inside. Any little bit helps to help these veterans in need.
We want to thank them for their service. Check out the video to find out more ways you can help.
In the name of the Father, show the way. I'll be hungry.
The everyday man and woman, have us on your mind. I was a veteran in 1987. Once you go in the military and you get out, you're a veteran 365 days a year.
Make me hungry. Well, I can't shed the soul of a...
Not to be disrespectful, why should you guys be doing that? You civilians. They should be helping us. We're veterans. Why should we beg and scrap for every little thing we have? Me, I'm one of the very few who's blessed who's got 100%. A lot of my brothers and sisters have been from Vietnam. Vietnam has been on 40 years. Why are you making them struggle?
I could pray, fuel the fire.
Why are you helping them after somebody got hurt or they killed themselves? Prevent it, help them before anything else.
Every day, fuel the fire, let it burn, make me hungry. Well, I can't.
They're real quick to say, guys, recruit us to junior high schools and high schools to recruit us. When we're used down and beat down, get the hell out. Forget it. We don't need you. We don't. You're forgotten.
Make me hungry.
Damn.
Make me hungry. Make me hungry. Well, I can't shed the soul.
This is garbage. You guys from Vietnam that's 70, close to 80 years old. Nobody wants to hire somebody in that age.
I know I'm qualified for many jobs, and yet these jobs don't see my military experience as any form of qualification. So when I was applying for jobs, no one could translate my skills into the civilian world.
Make me hungry. Make me hungry. Make me hungry.
So for anybody who's looking to hire veterans, take a good look at their resume, or if you know a veteran that's looking for work or is homeless, try and help them find something that's going to pay more than just like a grocery bill.
Make me
Wow, man.
hungry. Make me hungry. Make me hungry. Make me hungry.
Hey, Rick. There it is, ladies and gentlemen.
It's great, man. Yeah, you can sing, Mike. The production value
Oh, I
on
think you're
that
muted. I think you're
production
muted,
is just top notch. It's great.
Yeah, Mike can do everything. I'm a little jealous of Mike. He can do everything.
He can do everything but unmute his mic.
Yeah.
Mike, unmute yourself, would you?
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. I did want to give a shout out to the late Eric Petroni.
Yes.
Eric is actually responsible for introducing Chris and myself.
Mhm.
He knew Chris for decades.
Yeah.
Basically grew up together. And that's how I met Chris. And unfortunately, Eric left us way too soon a couple of years ago. He was a veteran, served in the Marine Corps. And I love that picture of him on the boat from that fishing trip that we went on, Philly Chris.
Yeah, that was a great time. Yeah, that was the last time we all really had a big hangout like that, I think. Yeah.
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 I was glad we were able to do that.
Mhm.
But yeah, thank you for the kind words, Rocco. I appreciate that. I don't know.
Yeah.
I was saying thank you, but I was apparently on mute.
Yeah, no, it sounds great. Sounds
And
great.
you
got
played
a
the
real-
guitar,
got a
Mike,
lovely
too, in
voice,
that,
man.
right? You played the
yeah.
guitar too, Mike, right?
I played the guitar. Ralph played the piano.
Yeah.
And we did utility on a couple of the other instruments. My Uncle Gary did the keyboards and responsible for.
Yeah, would you guys mix it down? So the mix sounds great.
And that was actually gentleman Jared Anderson in Nashville, Tennessee.
Yeah, it sounds excellent.
Great stuff comes out of Nashville. That was an Uncle Gary contact. And he heard about the project and said, "Hey, I'm in. We're doing this for homeless veterans. Count me in," sort of thing.
Yeah,
So,
very powerful video, man. Very powerful.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's good.
It's like, whoa, Jesus,
It's rough, right? We want to, thank you for your service. Do you have friends who are veterans who had a tougher time? Because you seem to have always managed to succeed in life, right? You got a bunch of different aspects to your life. It's fascinating. Sort of like the most interesting man in the world beer commercial, right? Where you got this going on and this going on.
No, we're all
He went
both-
to
I mean, we're-
Iraq for a desk job and ended up carrying an AK.
No, it wasn't really a desk job. No.
He went to Afghanistan for some other reason and ended up transporting people as armed security.
Yeah. It's just, I mean, everybody's built differently,
How many UFOs did you see over there?
None. I would have
None?
enjoyed
Okay.
seeing a couple just
Yeah.
to.
Have you been
to
following
have-
that phenomenon, the UFO phenomenon in the news?
Yeah,
Are they
I-
reporting on it over there?
I don't know what to think of it.
Yeah.
I really don't.
Okay.
I really don't. If I see some of these, spindly looking guys with the big eyes and all of that, yeah, okay, I'm cool. But do I believe they exist? I mean, it's very difficult to conclude whether they do or not. I mean, I don't know how you could.
Yeah.
I mean, I've read things where, like, the atmospheric conditions on Earth and how all the things that had to happen for life to be able to thrive here is so remarkable that the odds would be almost zero that they could happen anywhere else. But then on the other hand, you hear like there are an infinite number of galaxies and therefore an infinite number of planets.
Sure.
And then there's the religious aspect of it. I mean, God runs the whole show, man. And so
Right.
whatever he decides to do, I mean, we can't know his mind. It's not
Sure.
possible.
Yeah, we never will. Yeah.
So
I've been asking all
I
our
wanna
guests.
leave
We've
that
been
stuff
talking about
alone.
it.
I can't, I don't want to be spiraling into some mental abyss trying to work through it, because the way I see it is that stuff, I could probably get as much of an understanding of that stuff as my dog could get of my mind.
That's a good point.
Sure.
So why waste the time? I mean, I know a
Yeah,
lot of
gotcha.
people have spent time trying to work it out, but
Yeah.
that's not my bag. I just want to write music, man, and chill.
Yeah, that's
you know?
cool.
So,
That's cool.
Definitely keep doing that.
Yeah.
yeah, that's my thing. That's my thing now. I have a lot of gratitude that I'm able to do that. Now I can do it full time. I can get up every day and come down to my studio and just do my thing, do my art. And it's a ball. It's a ball, man. It really is.
Well, we really appreciate you taking the time to spend with us on the program today. We
it's been a
appreciate
ball.
that you
I enjoyed
stayed
myself,
up till, what is it, 3 o'clock in the morning?
I
over
don't know
there?
what time is it. What time is it now? What
You're gonna
time
have a
is it?
rough one in the morning. You're gonna need some extra strong espresso, right?
Well, I drink. I'm a psycho with that stuff. I drink a full pot of it that has
No,
like
over there.
really?
six shots in it, dude.
Nice.
Is that normal?
Cream, boom.
Is that normal in Italy though? Does
No,
everybody
no,
drink a pot?
They drink the little espresso cups, like boom.
They are tiny over there. Yeah, I remember
Yeah, they're
going in and out of the
tiny, and
shops and they gave me, and I'm like,
enjoyment out of it. They
like,
don't
what's
sip a
going
cup
on
of
here?
Coffee in Italy. They don't do
Yeah.
that. You just bang it down. It's like a ritual.
Yeah.
I sit there, I sit in front of my computer, and I'd sip my coffee, my big American style cup, but it's 6 shots of espresso with the milk.
Holy mackerel, that's crazy.
Yeah, in fact, one of my wife's friends came here and she tried to have a third of what I have, and she went into horrible heart palpitations and had to lie down.
Wow.
But I'm
What's that?
immune to it.
I want to ask you that. What do you think of the food out there? What's been your experience with the food? People say Italy's got the greatest food in the world and everything like that. What is it like? Is it what is it what somebody would expect if they weren't from Italy?
Yeah, the food's phenomenal. Italy, people think Italian food is monolithic. It's not. Every region is different. The food in Sicily is, Sicily's as south as you can get. A lot of tomato-based sauces. Tomatoes are used in everything. A lot of seafood, sardines. When you go up north, by the time you get up to the Switzerland border, it's all stews, meats, very, very little tomato-based stuff at all. So the variety of food. I will say this. I've eaten all over the world. I love Arabic food. That's some of the best meals I've had in my life in Jordan.
Really?
Yeah. Some of that stuff is phenomenal. But I will say the Sicilians have by far the greatest desserts in the world.
Really? What would be your favorite dessert in Sicily?
The cannoli.
Cannoli.
The cannoli.
Leave the gun.
No, the desserts are they're beautifully done. They're so artistic and gorgeous to look at, and they are fantastic to eat.
How are you not 300 pounds living over there?
No, you got to watch it, because a lot of people who come here from America, and there are some. You got some Brits that come here. It's a pretty popular place for British people. They blow up like a balloon. You just have to watch it. You got to watch it. Because the food is so good. You can't stop eating it.
Just have 6 espressos every morning when you wake up. You'll be fine.
Do that, and I eat a lot
You
of
just
wild.
burn off all the calories by your
that's
heart
right.
pumping
Get the heart
so fast
going.
all day.
Yeah, that's it. No, my heart's immune to it. I don't feel any palpitations or anything. But people are like, dude, that's not cool, man. What are you doing? I'm like, I've been doing this for 10 years now.
Wow.
So it's not.
So what would be your favorite? What would be your favorite meal to have out there? We got your dessert. What would be the meal? Something for dinner.
Oh, that's really difficult. I would say a plate of grilled meat, Sicilian style, which would be a piece of steak, which they call bistecca. Salsiccia, which is sausage. The sausage in my town is the best sausage probably in the entire country.
Really? What's the town?
Caccamo, Caccamo. Gorgeous, beautiful hilltop town.
Didn't the Beach Boys write a song about that?
Oh man!
Right? Get there fast, take it slow.
No, it's a stunningly beautiful place. I live in a stunningly beautiful place. It's there are things I miss about America. There are. There really are. But it's peaceful. It's quiet here. The food's fantastic. I go pick wild mushrooms. I go pick wild asparagus, wild greens. You can go out in the woods here and eat. The food is beautiful. It's delicious. Everybody cooks their meals. The fast food, forget it. It doesn't exist.
You go out to the local markets every day, and they're very loyal to the local markets, right?
Yeah, Sicilians are food snobs. Like, we got the best. We got the best, the best, the best. So, and yeah, their stuff is fantastic. The meat, when I go pick wild mushrooms down by the lake, we have a big, beautiful lake down here. The meat cows are roaming around this huge lake, just eating grass. So there's none of this, shooting them up with this antibiotic and this fatness and whatever it is they do. And that's why people here live long, because they eat clean, good. They don't go crazy. Nobody here watches what they eat. They're not like, oh, I just found a new superfood. It's like, who cares? No, eat well. Eat good food, local food, and enjoy it. It's not a science. Like
what would be a typical breakfast? What would be a typical breakfast?
Well, Sicilians don't have breakfast. They have a shot of espresso, and they might have a little pastry or something. That's it.
Really?
Yeah, I don't. That's not me. That's not me. I'm American.
Oh,
So I'll
yeah.
have, I'll
Eggs
have
and bacon.
well, bacon. No, I miss bacon. I miss bacon.
There's no good bacon out there.
No, man. My wife used to do like these one-off gigs in England, and she'd go back there and then bring a suitcase back with like the British have fantastic bacon.
Really?
But yeah. But no, there's no American style bacon. I miss bacon. Oh my God. They have the closest thing here is called pancetta, which is good. It's a good flavoring for like a pasta dish or something like that. But it's not. It's not. I can remember back in the States like frying up like half a packet of bacon, and then like when that's done, cracking the eggs right in the bacon grease. And like,
Yeah.
I'm living, man.
But it sounds like they do have farms out. Lots of farms out there, and
Yeah,
that's where you're getting your meats and everything like that. And
Yeah,
you're
my
getting eggs
whole
over
area.
there.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes you get eggs here and they have the feathers still stuck to them,
Wow.
which is kind of weird. It's kind of gross, man. But no, it's all. But the yolks are beautiful, like beautiful yellow, not yellow, orange, bright orange, gorgeous.
Hey,
The
Whole
food's-
Foods, the eggs
the
will probably
food's
cost
great.
$1 a piece here,
And it's cheap. The food's cheap, man. Okay. I'll get, let's say, a kilogram is 2.2 pounds. So I get a kilogram of chicken breast filleted, a kilogram of sausage, kilogram of very thinly sliced steak to make braciole. You know what braciole is. You guys are Italian. Right. So that's right there. That's 2, 4, 6. That's about 7, almost 8 pounds of meat.
Right.
23 euros, about 25 US.
Wow.
That's it. And it's top of the line. It's beautiful stuff.
That's amazing.
It is.
I was in the States with my wife. Now I've been to Britain. I've been to Ireland. I love Ireland. I love Ireland. It's fantastic. And the food's very, very reasonably priced, very similar to here. My wife and I went to the States to visit my uncle. And we were there for about a month. My wife was shocked at the prices. And this is 3 years ago. My wife couldn't believe it. She goes, "How do you people live here?"
Try it now.
That's what I'm reading. I'm like, oh my God. My wife was shocked. And then we had to go to Whole Paycheck, otherwise known as Whole Foods, to get something. I can't remember what it was. It was some specialty thing. My wife's like, "Let's get out of here. This is horrifying." The pricing is insane. I'm like, yeah, I said, it isn't cheap. That's for sure. It's not cheap. I said,
eggs with the feathers.
but over here, it's very cheap. It's very cheap to live, because of the climate too. The weather's warm in Sicily. In the winter, freezing is, my friends in the middle of winter, 50 degrees out, wearing like Arctic things with the women all bundle up, like, they're walking into a blizzard, but it's beautiful. Like tonight, it's what are we? We're going into November, and I'm in my studio, and it's actually warm in here tonight.
Wow.
It's warm. I've gone swimming in December.
Wow.
Nice. That's
Yeah.
Now-
But the downside, the summers, oh man,
Incredibly hot.
110, 112, 115.
Wow.
This summer was the most brutal summer ever.
Really?
Ever. Yeah, my wife. Now I don't mind it. I did mind it this summer. I did mind it, but my wife is British, and you know how Britain is: cloudy, rainy, sunny in the same day. A lot of rain.
She's not
My wife-
cut out for 110.
She's not cut out. She's like, put the air conditioning on, and that's it.
Do
we'll go
you
out
have
there
good
and-
air conditioning out there?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, of course. It's like you can outfit a house any way you want. I mean, I have AC on the top floor. On the bottom floor, like I said, the heat doesn't really get to me. The Mediterranean blood. I mean, I worked in places for years that were, like Afghanistan in the summer.
Iraq.
Yeah, right.
You know what the worst is? Kuwait. I was in Kuwait for a year, working a construction contract with an Arab company, an Egyptian company. That was a trip. I got stories about that one.
Yeah.
Wow. Anyhow, in the summertime, it's 120, 122. Crazy humidity.
Crazy hot. Yeah, that's
Crazy humidity. I can remember times standing there and like looking at the water dripping down my shirt and then like off, like I had a roll in my shirt. The water would collect there and just drip on the floor, not moving. This is crazy, man.
Yeah, were you ever thinking, what the heck are we doing here? Like, why are people living here?
Yeah, you know what? I just got so accustomed to traveling. I love the traveling. I love seeing different things. I mean, I've seen some really cool things, you know. I went to the place where John the Baptist baptized Jesus Christ.
Wow, it's amazing.
I saw that. I took a handful of mud from there and I brought it back to a friend of mine in Rhode Island when I had a couple of weeks off. And she was a very devout Catholic. And I gave that to her. And she was crying. She was just crying. It was just so cool. You know, it's like, this is where it happened, man. That's
amazing.
He was here, you know, or going into some of the catacombs. I mean, there's catacombs all over the world. And seeing some of the early Christian depictions of the Last Supper, you know, stuff from the year 200, 250 AD. It's incredible. So I got into that whole thing. I love to see those things. And once you develop that frame of mind, you can't stop. I mean, I've stopped the last couple of years. I've settled down here and, you know, just doing my thing. But you know, I'm almost ready to go again. I'm like, yeah, there's more I'd love to see. I just heard about these incredible mosaics they discovered in Turkey. Incredible. Look it up.
Okay.
Turkey mosaics, Google. It's like the size of a football field.
Really?
It's like ridiculous. I mean, they have some epic ones here in Sicily. Epic. Absolutely epic. From the Roman days.
Have you been to Ostia Antica? You ever been there? Ostia Antica?
No.
It's like Pompeii, but I guess similar to Pompeii.
No. I haven't been to Pompeii and I haven't been to Herculaneum. I gotta go. But the world's full of this stuff, man. It's just
We got a couple of comments for you. DG says bacon is $19 a pound here. Keep missing it. Rita says went to the grocery store today as well. Wanted a pound of roast beef. It was $16.99 a pound.
Pound of roast beef was $16.99.
$16.99. I turned around and walked away. You can thank Uncle Creepy for that one, right?
Yeah.
The big guy. You can thank the big guy.
That's unbelievable.
Yeah.
It's getting what's a gallon of milk cost there now?
Somebody's
Too
gonna have to
much.
answer that. What's that?
Too much.
Too much. A gallon of milk is too
I
much.
think they're still keeping that on the lower side compared to a lot of other items.
How about like a dozen eggs?
Yeah.
But
Loaf of
gas
bread.
gas is expensive.
Yeah,
Yeah,
gas is
eggs
going
still
through the
aren't too.
roof.
Certain things are still keeping, but yeah, a lot of the meats have been going up.
You know what?
Well, 'cause Bill Gates wants to sell us that synthetic meat now, so that's why.
You know what
Yeah, you
hasn't
eat it,
gone
though.
up?
Yeah.
You
The
know what
Microsoft
hasn't gone
meat.
up? The price of actual oil that you put in your car, the synthetic stuff. I had to stop at the auto parts store to get some oil over the weekend, and I noticed that it's $30 like normal. Comes with a filter.
For the car oil's the same. You're saying?
Yeah,
Yeah.
but
okay.
gas is going through the roof.
Yeah. Right.
Figure that one out. I don't know.
Rocco,
Maybe because it's
that brings
synthetic.
me. I was gonna make fun of Russ. I thought he was gonna say that it was expensive, and there was gonna be a story about someone just simply taking advantage of him. But it wasn't really that expensive.
No.
Have you ever had any experiences over there as an American living over there, where people in markets and things of that nature try to take advantage of you?
Absolutely. It's a given.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, people on the side. I mean, once they get to know you, there'll always be one or two who'll try. But until you develop a network, until they get, familiar with you and realize you're not going to roll over, yeah, it comes at you from all different sides. I mean, you'll also find some lovely people who are in positions to take advantage of you that will not do so. I mean, my opinion of these people that they're lovely, civilized, peaceful people. There's no crime here to speak of.
Really?
I mean, yes, the mafia is still endemic. They've gone quiet. They don't, they don't shoot people in the streets anymore, but they get a piece of a lot of, the big money. But, the day-to-day people, outside of that, they're hospitable, they're civilized, they're kind, they're warm. The medical system, you would think it would be third world. And, if you go into some of the cities here, like, Palermo, yeah, it's hectic like a big city hospital would be in, let's say, New York City, But, we've been to the hospitals here. My wife has had several minor issues, but we've ended up having to go to the hospital. And the level of care was fantastic. And there's a human touch to it. A human touch.
That's not
I've had some stuff done in the States years ago. I haven't been to a doctor in, 15 years now. But before that, I had a couple of problems, and I had some things I had to have dealt with. And I found the doctors to be very competent and excellent at what they did, but they lacked the human touch. They were very matter of fact and very clinical and very kind of cold. But over here, there's a human touch, and that makes a big difference. Makes a big difference. And the level of care is excellent. They're very well equipped, the hospitals. They're very clean and very orderly, and which in a sense, when you think of Italians, we're not the most orderly people around. In my genes, I feel that sense of disorder when I work. I mean, I work in a disordered manner, but it's a different drill over here. It's old school. It's old school. It's everyone respects everybody. There's no crime. I mean, it's just very, very. We had one horrible thing happen here about 6 months ago. This young guy, he had a history of violence. He was with this girl for years, several years, and he had a jealousy problem, and he killed her. And it threw the whole town in an uproar. It was like the most horrifying thing. I mean, it wouldn't even pass muster in New York City. No one would even pay attention to it.
Right. Yeah.
But it
not even
shut down this town for days.
Really?
Shut it down. So, I see that and I compare what's going on in this state. There are a lot of lovely places in America. I've done my time traveling, a good part of the states. I've never been out west, but I've been in the Midwest, down south. I love the South. I love Southern people. And it's that same mentality. It's just this very nice, hospitable, warm, civilized way of dealing with your fellow man. But so much of America now is, from what I'm reading, the big cities are, you don't want to go near them.
Right.
You want to stay out of New York City. I mean, I love New York City. I love Manhattan. After reading all the stuff I've been reading about, and that clown de Blasio, what's that all about? Chicago, it's a combat zone. It's more dangerous to go to Chicago than to go to Baghdad. If someone said to me, you got a choice, go to Chicago, and just chill out and just kind of meander around there,
Right.
or go to Iraq, go to Baghdad for a weekend, guess what? I'm going to Iraq.
Wow.
And I mean that. I'm going there because I know the ropes. I'm not going to Chicago.
Yeah.
No.
It'd be too much of a learning curve in Chicago.
Yeah, just way too much. Way too much for me. That's like above my friggin' pay grade, man.
Wow.
Yeah, it's chaos there. You're right.
It is. But
And Philly's turned into a mess. It used to be, more reasonable. It was always a little bit more violent than your average city, but it's crazy now.
I mean, I'm hearing from my uncle in Rhode Island, which never had much of a problem with violence, wholesale violence. And he's saying, he's 86 years old. He's like, Sonny, they're shooting each other like crazy here now.
Yeah.
And I'm like, Uncle, you really? And he's like, yeah. He goes, it's out of control. Just, I don't know, something's been unleashed. Something's been unleashed. I can't
Psychological programming.
Yeah, I don't know what it is, man. Something evil is afoot. That's the only way I could describe it, in our nation.
They're
Something
tampering
evil
with
is-
people's consciousness. They're changing the way people think.
Yeah, there's a sense of decency that's lacking now that I very much recall being in effect 30 years ago. Very much. There were things you didn't do. There were things you didn't do, even if they made you fabulously wealthy or had the potential to do that. You just didn't do them. Now, everybody's doing them.
Yeah, true.
What was that? Was it Franklin or Jefferson or one of those guys said something about, our system, our representative republic is only meant to be, operational for a virtuous people.
That's right.
DG wants to know, is the vaccination mandatory in Italy?
If you want to work, it's okay. Technically speaking, no, but they make it so incredibly difficult for you not not to have it that most people cave in. I have a dear friend here who's been fighting them tooth and nail. What they demand of you if you don't have the vaccination is that 3 times a week you get a nasal swab to test for the virus at 15 euros a pop, which is about 17 US. 3 times a week. He's doing that. I mean, that'll grind you down.
Sure.
Which means that you got to stand in line at a pharmacy or at one of these centers that will test 3 times a week.
Yeah.
You can't just go home and chill out and relax. Oh, so I got to get my test right, or I cannot work. But there's been a lot of pushback here. And in my town, okay, there's mandatory masking until, I don't know, maybe they lifted that recently, I'm not sure. But even while that was in effect, hardly anybody had them.
Nobody
You're also
listened.
supposed to.
Sounds like Northern Chester County.
If you go into a bar, you're supposed to show a green pass, right? You know, that communist document or whatever it is. You go into a bar, you're supposed to green pass. So for the last month and a half, I've been meeting a friend at a bar down the bottom of the hill here. I know the owner, cool guy. Name is Vito. Vito, if you're listening, brother.
That's right. Thumbs up to Vito. Vito, hey now.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Hey
Vito.
now. Hey now.
Vito. Good Italian name. Anyhow, I walked in there thinking, all right, here we go. He's going to ask for the green pass. Well, guess what? No, man. All employees are supposed to be wearing masks. Guess what? No.
That's good. Well, people
Walked
don't
in.
adhere, then they can't.
No, they
control
don't,
it.
man. They don't. I was walking
that's
to
good.
get ice
They're
cream.
doing it in California, though. Right? I mean, let's make no mistake about it. That is being pushed in California. It is happening in California.
Ugh.
There was just an In and Out that was closed in California because they weren't complying fully with the vaccine papers mandate. I don't know how you want to describe it, but basically they were required by the government to force everybody to show them proof of vaccination. They weren't doing that, and they got shut down.
Yeah. It's not happening here, man.
That's good.
even the cops. Okay, we have you have a local cops, and they're called the vigili, and they're just like it's like somebody's uncle.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, Mr. Vigili, someone's being murdered up the street. Okay, that's cool. Let me call the carabinieri, who are the real cop, like the state cops. Right? And I know several of those guys. They get a kick out of I was telling them about Afghanistan. We talk weapons and that kind of thing. And one day, me and 3 friends, we were walking to get ice cream, which is a big deal here, gelato. The ice cream is fantastic here. But me and my wife just figured out how to make our own. Yeah. So we're walking, right? And the carabinieri, who was supposed to enforce all of these rules and everything, here comes a squad of them. This in a big SUV. There's 3 or 4 of them in it, right? And the guy driving, I know the dude, right? So I'm like, none of us have masks, This is like during the hardcore lockdown. This was back in April. So here they come around the corner, right? And we're like, oh man, here we go. And they go, hey, buongiorno. Hey, and they wave back and they just keep on going. It's like, no, Sicilians, I love that about Sicilians. You make a rule, Sicilians will find a way to get around it. They're the most clever people.
A little bit of history there, yeah.
Oh my God, because the taxes in Italy are onerous, they're worse than America. They're worse than America. But Sicilians are spectacularly talented at subverting it, getting around. You're supposed to get a receipt. It's called a scontrino, right? And if you don't get the receipt, and there's one of the guys from the financial police around, and you get caught without it, you don't get in trouble. The business owner gets fined insanely.
Oh, okay.
But once they get to know you, some of these business owners will go, hey, can we just do this on the side? And I'm like, I hate the government. Yeah, man. So, yeah. So, I mean, yeah, it's
Italian
interesting.
legal or tax advice for anybody who's listening.
Right. Yeah.
Don't try this on your own.
Don't try this at home.
Right, exactly. Hey,
We're
can we get back to a
professionals.
little bit of music? There's a song I would love if you guys had played it. You'd have to go over to my site to get it, but I think you can just click on it. If you go to Cosmic Order site, you go to music and lyrics. There's a song on my second album called Passing Parade. And I wrote that song while I was researching my ancestors, and I was looking at original records, and I could see the handwriting of the people that put that, that announced their births or announced their marriages. And I was like, my God, this is incredible. It's like all these people are gone. They're all gone. I mean, this is stuff that went back 100 years. And then I had the thought that, like, my God, life is a passing parade. It's just a passing parade. So I wrote this song about that. And I was also thinking about my uncle. I had an uncle who I loved dearly, and he passed unexpectedly 7 or 8 years ago. It was a shock. And I think of him often, because he was like a father to me, this guy, and he was such a wise man, and he was funny, and he had such a heart.
I just put in the doc, Russ.
And I wrote that song for him and for all of everyone that's gone through this parade of life before us. And it's a very beautiful song. So if you wouldn't mind playing it, I think your listeners might enjoy it. It's a very pretty song.
Absolutely. Let's
check it out.
Give it a shot.
I look out over these hills at night to gaze upon the stars. I watch the moon go across the sky and wonder where you are. Search the planets one by one. I tried to find you there. You took a rocket to the stars and left us stranded here. I've seen you flash across the sky, a meteor on fire, and someday we will meet again. That is my desire. All I can say, life is a passing parade. All that I know is life is a passing parade. Oh, life is a passing parade. Oh, life is a passing parade. Life is a passing parade. Life is a passing parade.
Excellent. That is totally my style. Love that song.
Yeah, it was great.
It's a pretty song.
I'm
Yeah, it's one of my
glad you
favorites.
suggested it.
Yeah.
Glad
Yeah.
you suggested it. That was
Yeah.
great.
Pretty tune.
Yeah, that was really good.
Great stuff. Listen, Rock, I really appreciate how generous you've been with your time this evening. And we hope that we have the opportunity to get you back on the program. Hopefully, we'll be getting some good updates on how Let's Go Brandon has made its way around everybody in this entire country.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I wonder if I'm like on an FBI terrorist list now.
Right.
What are you talking about? We know you work for them.
yeah, yeah, we got to worry about that now. We gotta
That's
worry
how he
about
ended
that
up here
now.
in the first place.
That's
right.
right. That's right.
Yeah. And you guys could be feds, huh? And you just trying to like, you never know, man. Nah, I don't think like that.
Yeah. No, just kidding.
Mike was cross-examining you.
That's right. That's right.
That's all right. I'll take the fifth.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
We have taught you
it.
well, Rocco.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Well, I learned well, man, that the only person that you can't get through is the stonewaller. There's no defense. There's no offense. It's like, okay, well, why don't you do that? I'm not doing it. Where do you go with that?
Yeah.
There's nowhere to go. Hey, did you see Merrick Garland the other day? See Tom Cotton, boom.
Oh man, he got diced by Cotton. He got diced up by Cruz. He got diced up by
Pretty
Hawley.
good. Mhm.
It's
He
embarrassing.
sounds like Yoda. Merrick Garland sounds like Yoda.
Mhm.
He looks like Howdy Doody, but he sounds like Yoda. See, you're too young.
He wouldn't answer the questions though. Like
Right.
Ted Cruz was asking very specific, pointed questions, and he would just give an answer to a question that wasn't asked. And it's like, come on, man. Yeah, you're a judge, right?
Right.
You know what's going on here. You can't be. You can't do that.
Yeah. That whole move with that memorandum was simply to scare people.
Yeah, that's
That's
crazy.
what that.
Yeah.
You know,
Crazy stuff going on.
we'll beat these bastards. We'll beat them. We will.
There we go.
Mhm.
We're American, man. We're American. We don't play this. We're American. We're free people. We love our freedom. We love our rights. You know, these people didn't give us our rights. God gave us our rights. They're not going to take
right.
them away. They're
Amen.
not
Are
going
you
to take
coming
them
back to the States anytime in the foreseeable future?
away. Say again?
Are you coming back to the States anytime in the foreseeable future?
I'm not sure. Probably
Just keep us
within-
posted. Keep us posted. Maybe
Yeah.
we
Within
can
the next
work
year, I
something
think
out.
I'll be swinging by. I got some people I got to visit, and check up on. But we'll see. We'll see.
Well, if we can have the opportunity to have you in the studio, that would be great. So just keep us
I'd be
posted.
appalled. I would absolutely love it. You guys are great, man. I had such a great time tonight talking to you guys. Really fun.
We appreciate it. We
Yeah,
had a
totally.
great time as well.
Yeah,
Thank you
thanks
so
for what you're
much
doing,
for
too.
coming on.
Mhm.
CosmicOrderBand.com. Let's go, Brandon Rocco.
All right, fellas. I'm going to say goodnight.
Have a good
All
night.
right. Take care.
Yeah.
Let's go, Brandon.
Yeah. Let's go.
All
Perfect,
right. That was
perfect.
great. That was a lot of
Yeah,
fun, wasn't it?
That was awesome. Yeah, what a great guest. And I
Glad
appreciate
that
what
he
he's
was here.
doing. Like I love that he's doing something and taking action. If everybody did a little bit of something,
Sure.
yeah,
It's important.
that was
Important. Somebody's got to
fantastic.
do it,
yeah.
right?
Right.
Using his abilities and his talents to
Mm-hmm.
get out there and fight for the cause. So
Great stories
I'll go
too. He's
to
got a lot
Camel.
of interesting stories.
CosmicOrderBand.com.
Yeah.
That was great. So got a couple of things that I want to talk about on the dock over here. I'm going to pose a question for everybody. I was talking to, well, we've got another guest who was supposed to come on. Is that still happening, Liberty?
Oh, I didn't even realize we had another guest.
Liberty's
We
not
have
coming
another
on.
guest?
We
I didn't know
were
that.
supposed to have a Brandon guest on the program. Talk about New York City.
Oh, yes.
Oh, okay.
Well, this went super long. And Ruby told him 7:30.
Okay.
So there's absolutely no way he would pick up.
We're only 2 hours late.
Yeah, it's only a
Oh.
couple hours.
You can give a shout if you'd like.
right.
You want to send a message,
He's a
Liberty?
guest. Okay, and just for the audience, he's a guest that is notorious for not answering the phone. So it's not like we a guest
Good
lined
old
up.
Manny McMahon.
Manny McMahon, ladies and gentlemen.
Manny McMahon. So while
Well, it would be
Liberty's
Russ.
Huh?
Let me put his number in the doc and have Russ call him.
well, no, I would say that you should probably message him.
Yeah,
privately.
send him a message. Make sure he's actually, awake and willing to answer his phone, and then I'll
I think
and then
he's
I'll see if
certainly
I'll
awake,
call.
but
Okay, well, I don't know what his sleep schedule
whether
is
he's
like.
available. So I do want to
Guy
over
wears
here
loafers.
I want to pose
Probably
this
taking a
this
nap.
question for everybody. I asked Liberty in passing during the week, does she think that Donald Trump will run in 2024, and does she think that he will win? So I want to get everybody's perspective on that, and then I want to take it from there. I want to ask a couple of follow-up questions. Philly Chris, what do you think?
I think it's highly likely. I think he's alluded to that, and other people have talked about it. So I think we'll see it again for the most part. Sometimes I worry about the health issues that could possibly show up out of nowhere with someone in his age group.
Age group or someone who's
He's a pretty
taken
healthy
on
guy,
so
but-
many, made so many enemies.
Well, yeah, I'm sort of alluding to that, but I don't want to go there all the way. You know what I mean? Like I worry. Yeah, that's
He
kinda
might
what
get
I'm saying.
suicided by
You
the
don't want to
Clintons.
give them any ideas,
Right. Yeah. I mean, I don't want to get that dark, but I don't know. I mean, I don't, with the things we're seeing, and I've been pretty open on the show, and maybe I'll even start being a little more open, like I joked around in the video there. But I think there's things at play here that we haven't even begun to see. And part of the reason I asked the guest about the UFO thing, I don't know if you guys saw it yet, but there's something I mentioned on the show. Let me ask you guys. There's a couple things I've mentioned on the show more than once since I brought that topic up. One of them was what to watch for. Do you guys remember what I said? What to watch for? Like the narrative, where
Can
the
you just
narrative's
tell
going.
us?
And then I mentioned a couple times how there's been documented occurrences where these craft, and I'm not saying they're aliens, but they're craft, they're real craft, have tampered with our nukes or nuclear capabilities. I don't know if you guys saw Tucker Carlson this week, but he did a segment on that. And I mentioned this months ago. And what's troubling to me is this stuff's out there, and it's pretty serious. When you're talking about our nuclear capabilities, why has this stuff not been shared with the American people? But anyway, I have a clip if we want to get into that in a few minutes. But getting back to Donald Trump, and the reason I brought up this stuff is it ties together.
So, Chris, do you think
Yeah.
Trump's going to run in 2024? He's like, aliens.
Right. Well, not aliens. See, the whole thing
UFOs.
is the propaganda piece is that this is aliens. I think that's why people get hung up on that. And it could be. I don't know. But there's technology out there that makes our complete military useless. And that's a concern to me. So if that's possible, and our military industrial complex has been lying to us since the 40s at least about the trillions of dollars they've spent, then what would they do? What are they capable of to stop someone from like Donald Trump getting back in the White House? Or what will they do to the American people? So anyway, I don't want those things to happen, but I don't think we've seen the full potential of what the deep
More
state is
likely
capable
than not
of yet.
that Trump runs in 2024?
Yeah, if he can.
Great answer.
Yeah. If he's capable of doing it.
Does he win?
It wouldn't surprise me if we see another fiasco with the election, to be honest with you.
I think
That's
a better
kinda where-
question would be, does he win if the election's actually fair?
Right. I think he could. He should. At this
Liberty,
point,
what do you think?
Who wouldn't vote for him?
So I think that yes, he will run, and I think yes, he could win. However, I think it's going to be completely and utterly blocked from the whole thing with January 6th. I think that they are going to pull hard and heavy on that. And it was strange because I was thinking that the other day, and then I was watching one of the Senate hearings, and one of the Democratic leaders was questioning about that. And they were mentioning all the specific details, and they really highlighted some of the bad things in that day, right? And if you don't really look into it, you'll immediately associate with that with Donald Trump. And they were mentioning things like people got fractures in their neck and like fingers cut off, or I mean, it was like the most extreme things of the day, which I had never heard of before. And I was like, wow. And my mind, me being libertarian conservative, looking at that, I'm thinking of people climbing up the walls. Then I'm thinking of the worst things that happened that day. But I obviously know it was not Donald Trump's fault. We went through this a lot, right? There's just some people out there who are extreme and just bad people. I don't think it's, anything more than that. But anyway, my point is I think that if I, who really, really likes Donald Trump, went there, I cannot even imagine what they're going to do with this.
Right. I'm curious to hear, because you hear, obviously, the left's point of view when it comes to the 6th. And there are a lot of different theories and a lot of different perspectives you hear from people on the right, but I don't think that there's a general consensus when it comes to that. Do you think that when it comes to what took place on January 6th, that the truth is that what they are saying happened did take place, and some of it was bad, but some of it was maybe not as bad as they made it out to seem? Do you think that maybe they're highlighting certain things? Do you think that maybe people on the right are ignoring certain things that maybe they shouldn't? What do you think about that, Liberty?
I mean, as far as like being convicted, it took them, apparently part of the hearing was why it was taking so long and things like that to get the charges. And versus other people, they're kind of like alluding to the fact that people in more extreme groups that are right-leaning get less charges or are not sought after as much as, people on the left, rioters and things like that, right? They went after the rioters.
Right. That's true.
But so that was like part of the questioning, and so they're handling
That
it
is true, right?
whole point
They've gone very hard to find anybody who had any involvement whatsoever, but you don't really see that when it comes to anything that's taken place with any of these leftist, quote unquote, peaceful protests, do you?
right. But and exactly.
Not saying that one, one's okay and one's not, or anything like that. I don't know how some people on the right look at everything in its totality and say, oh, no, it wasn't a big deal at all what took place on the 6th. And, the left just fabricated the whole entire thing. Well, there are videos of police being smashed into the steps and things like that. Now,
exactly.
whether or not there were
That's
people there showing up as agitators and things of that nature, getting people riled up. You saw one video of a guy who was talking about all this stuff leading up to it over and over and over again.
Yeah.
And people were calling him a fed and stuff like that.
Yeah, that was interesting.
I think it came out that he was ultimately somebody who was outspoken in the political community in Arizona. But and then you also see videos of the police opening up the barricades and
Right.
walking them right on in, right? So
Right.
I don't think it's
Yeah.
all one or the other necessarily. I don't think that everybody who showed up on that day was. Well,
I just know 100% that they're going to push that, because a lot of the narrative is now that Donald Trump's gone, we could breathe again, right? So they're going to push
This is
this
who?
as well. I've seen it on a lot of the liberal media, and so they're basically saying like situation again, this and that. Now that he's
everything's
gone,
grand now.
I'm telling you, and you mark my words and replay this later on. I just know if he runs again, this January 6th thing is going to be it. It is going to be everywhere, and it's going to associate this was Donald Trump's fault. This was America under Donald Trump. Even Tucker, it was so weird that I this happens a lot. I think something, and next thing you know, it's on Tucker, and he played this big thing called the Patriot Purge or something. And,
yeah, we were talking about that.
And they were
Thieving
really
son of a gun.
yeah, they were no, not that, but and then on the 5 they were talking about January 6th became the hot topic, and I personally just feel that it's going to be so connected to the election that they're basically going to say that we're going to be in that civil war that we all, or people say here and there, and it's trending on Twitter every other week, that they're going to push that's going to be America if Donald Trump gets back in, and so we cannot let that happen. That's what they're going to say.
They're going to scare everybody out of voting for Donald Trump.
I don't think that's going to happen.
Not scare, but basically say that
Just use it as
if
propaganda.
you are
against
voting
him,
for
yeah.
him, then you are
Right.
literally
Sure.
going. You're the attacker. We
Totally.
are
Makes sense. That makes sense, Liberty. Yep.
I agree with.
Says the left
It's going to get more
wanted it to
extreme,
happen.
yeah. This is why Camel is going to step down as VP and run against him.
You think so?
I heard something about it. I don't know what to make of it yet, but I heard that's a possibility.
If Joe doesn't keel over first.
She's going to try to get him primaried because she couldn't.
She
really...
couldn't win through when there were like 30 of them on stage.
I know, but if they're controlling, it doesn't matter who votes; it's who controls the votes.
Well, there's that. I think they would be downright foolish to associate January 6th with Donald Trump, because anybody who was paying attention knows that was caused, I would imagine, from Mike Pence, from the events that went down, right?
There's a chance he might run.
That's well, not caused by, but
I know people were
very unhappy with him.
Yeah, but I don't think he caused it. That would be like he's like coordinating everybody. He was like, all right, everybody show up here.
Well, those guys were angry at him, and
Yeah.
What do you think about people who say that Trump's still in charge behind the scenes?
I think they're out of their mind.
What do you think, Chris?
I mean, I would love to believe that there's some truth in that, but there's people who say Obama's in charge behind the scenes on the other side. So, maybe there's some stuff going on, but how far are they going to let this go if that were the case, right? Some of that QAnon stuff is still floating around about that as well.
Now you're going to get us with one of those stupid banners under the video.
Oh, stop it.
Oh, yeah.
But
no, that happened.
If they do convince people that Trump is still in power, that encourages them to just sit back and relax, right? Everything's going to be fine.
Right, that's right. That's the flip side of that. Right.
In theory, if that were true, then he would be responsible for the high gas prices and for Afghanistan and everything like that, right?
Well, their claim is that this is like a big show and it's a movie and they're letting it play out.
If he's still in charge, then he's now the worst president
That's
ever.
right. That's right.
Not at the end of this term.
Sure. But I think Liberty brought up a really good point about how far they're going to take this. I don't think, and that's the point I was trying to make earlier is, and look at the incremental changes we keep seeing, and it is really a house of cards at this point. As we go into this winter and this holiday season with the supply chain issues, the gas prices, the home heating, we're going to probably see for the first time in our country power outages in areas of the country that, haven't had that happen. I bet that's coming. Yeah.
I don't think so.
But food prices are already ridiculous for a lot of families. They're doing it, they're really just pushing the socialist to communist agenda, and everything's in play for that right now if it continues.
They can save the day.
Right. Of course. Create the problem, then have the solution. And there's a lot of folks, middle-class people right now, who are living paycheck to paycheck already. Most people don't have savings, and I don't blame them. Things are not cheap, especially if you're trying to raise a family. And their paychecks, they're a few weeks, a month away from needing assistance. A good percentage of the country is going to be in that spot pretty soon.
Well,
What do you think of What do you think of when people downplay the bad things that happened on the 6th? Do you think that's bad as a whole?
I think the problem is it's so extreme on both sides right now, and there's just no more middle ground. That the middle ground is missing, and it's full one or the other. It's so binary. It's like black or white. And I think again, we've talked about this where we need to come back together, but. I talk about the social programming and some of these, programs like the Mockingbird program that's infiltrated the mainstream media on both sides. So they're pushing this stuff into people's heads. The song that Rocco played about the phone, everybody's just allowing it to get into their consciousness, and it's altered everyone's perspective on reality to the degree that we're experiencing these things. And the younger generation is at another level we can't even understand mentally, I think. Just takes one generation to lose freedom, so we're right on the edge.
I think a large portion of the division in our country definitely comes from the left, because you see things where if you don't agree with them, you get canceled. If you say the wrong thing, you get taken off of the video platform or whatever other platforms there are. If you oppose certain things, you're labeled an ist or a phobe, or you're seen as the equivalent of those insurrectionists from January 6th. You know, parents that go up against school boards are labeled as domestic terrorists. And it's like, okay, so if we don't agree with you, you hate us. And why is there division again? It's our fault.
And DG just brought up a good.
And I wanted
comment.
to just respond to DG.
Yeah, I was just reading DG's comments, and they're really good. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Liberty.
No, she said something to me, but
I don't watch the news at all.
I'm very, very from a young age very interested in politics. So I listen to all different sides. I want to hear what's going on. Like, you know, I know what I like, you know, but
sure.
I listen to everything, and I follow social media for not really, I want to say research, but really because I'm interested, and I'm always looking at the news articles. I'm looking at trends and looking at what they're pushing. Like, I have very different minds. So
You got to know what the other side is saying.
yeah, but I do it for that. But I'll be honest, I just want to put my PSA out there for people who do, because I was watching TikTok because I like to see what's going on, and I don't think I'll stop for purposes of that. And this is real because I'm very passionate about my generation and younger generations, how they are being so brainwashed, and just by like Cardi B and all these different things, horrible. And so like I watch it and I see what they're doing, and they're really promoting like all these things like, oh yeah, divorce, this, that, you know, all these crazy things. And it's just like, yeah, you go girl kind of mentality. And it's just it's frustrating to me, and I always want to go in there and say things, but I'm just watching, and I just want to say, like, there's some really strange things coming out of TikTok, and just like watching a video for like, you know, that short and then going on to the next one, and I actually stopped even for research purposes because it's a very strange app. Something is very strange about it, and the way it's designed, it's almost like a brainwashing confirmation bias, because you start to see things only for what you like.
Sure.
And I think these kids who are just on these apps, there's something way more to this.
It's almost like it's designed to be an echo chamber.
Like destroys your ability to have any type of attention span.
Yeah, I think it's giving anxiety to kids. I think these kids are really having problems that we've never seen before in past generations.
We're masking our children. We're feeding them all this craziness.
They're doing these challenges that are dangerous. You know, it's just very, very strange. But what else do they have? I mean, I'll be honest, like, it's hard to blame them when we push college on them so much. They go to college, everybody gets a degree, then they have nothing to do with this. They have a piece of paper and debt, like we were saying.
Yeah.
And nothing to do but sit on their phone and, you know, try to do different things, you know, in their parents' basement. It's very difficult to get out when, you know, but if they don't know anything else, they spend all this money on this degree, you know, so everybody's gonna say, go out and get a job, you know, and I see young kids out there working hard, but something is up. I don't know if that was kind of a rant, but anyway.
No, you're right on target, Liberty. And when you look at all the different pieces of the puzzle, you know, is it by design? Is it not? I think it is. You know, these people behind these platforms, Facebook, now Metaverse, you know, they're taking us, they're leading us into this new era of digital content manipulation, mind control, really, is what it is in a lot of ways. You know, you're voluntarily putting yourself into these devices because they're designed to be addictive. You don't realize that you're getting addicted, probably to the extent you are. And it's with all of
it. Rocco was saying that it's Satanist.
It really is.
Did you hear this article that I put out there? Satanists convinced Delaware County, Pennsylvania school district to alter dress code.
Yeah,
you were talking about that.
I got a link, Mike. I got a link this time. You want me to click it? Should I click it?
All right. Do it, Russ.
It was actually in the doc. Can you believe it?
All right. Check it out.
Joseph Rose launched a similar effort at the Barnett Valley School District, which prohibits satanic or cultish imagery. Oh, there's a video. You can go ahead and play it.
Yeah.
Walter. Hi, Shari. This is definitely one of those stories that a lot of people have their own personal feelings about, but still fosters a real discussion about where our rights, our responsibilities, and the law all come together. Joseph Rose says he was approached by fellow Satanists who have children enrolled in schools within the Rose Tree Media District regarding this tidbit within the district's dress code. It says any clothing or accessories that are, quote, satanic in nature are prohibited. Rose, who's the founder of a group called Satanic Delco, says that's not fair.
The idea that a public school which really isn't a place for religion to begin with, would allow all but one religion was just so obviously unfair and unconstitutional.
It took about a month of consistent emails and phone calls to the district before the superintendent sent out an announcement reading in part, "Although we have had no complaints or concerns brought forward by any student, parent, or resident, we will remove this language from our current dress code information in the student handbook." Villanova law professor Ann Giuliano, after reading the entire statement, says she believes the district did the right thing.
I really do like the way they phrased it. You know, they recognize that there could be religious beliefs at issue. Not that there are, but there could be, and therefore they would take it out.
We spoke with people in media about this subject, and there was no shortage of opinions.
As far as children go, I don't think you want to start putting thoughts in their head about satanic stuff or anything else. I really don't believe that long-term wise, they're going to grow up with an influence on them from school.
Meanwhile, Joseph Rose says this is not the last we will hear from him.
It just sort of raises awareness for what Satanists are, what we're not, and maybe helps empower us a little when we have to reach out to the next high school, which I'm doing.
And with that said, Satanic Delco is now in the middle of a similar campaign involving the Garnet Valley School District, which currently prohibits any kind of clothing or gear with satanic or cultish imagery. Reporting live from Media, Delaware County, Walter Perez, Channel 6 Action News.
What are your thoughts, Mike, on that? Yeah, what are your thoughts?
Say your prayers and take your vitamins.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. It's considered, I guess it's considered a religion. I guess you can make anything a religion pretty much, huh?
Sure.
I
And
have
then
a
you get the
religion that doesn't
constitutional
want me to take
protection. That's sort of the
that are experimental.
interesting part of that, is if you're going to allow freedoms for things you don't like, you could include stuff like that under those protections, right? That's what's going on basically, right?
If there is truly a battle between good and evil going on, then we need some real prayer warriors to come to the forefront right now. Let's go ahead with that Pledge of Allegiance. This was sent by a couple of listeners.
It's not working.
I had. Now, I went through the 7th grade. I went to the 7th grade. And I left home when I was 10 years old because I was hungry. And I used to, this is true. I work in the summer and I go to school in the winter. But I had this one teacher. He was the principal of the Harrison School in Vincennes, Indiana. To me, this was the greatest teacher, a real sage of my time, anyhow. He had such wisdom. And we were all reciting the Pledge of Allegiance one day. And he walked over, this little old teacher, Mr. Laswell was his name. Mr. Laswell, and he says, I've been listening to you boys and girls recite the Pledge of Allegiance all semester, and it seems as though it's becoming monotonous to you. If I may I recite it and try to explain to you the meaning of each word. I, me, an individual, a committee of one, pledge, dedicate all of my worldly goods to give without self-pity, allegiance, my love and my devotion to the flag, our standard, Old Glory, a symbol of freedom. Wherever she waves, there's respect, because your loyalty has given her a dignity that shouts, freedom is everybody's job. United. That means that we have all come together. States, individual communities that have united into 48 great states. 48 individual communities with pride and dignity and purpose. All divided with imaginary boundaries, yet united to a common purpose, and that's love for country. And to the republic, a state in which sovereign power is invested in representatives chosen by the people to govern. And government is the people, and it's from the people to the leaders, not from the leaders to the people, for which it stands. One nation, meaning so blessed by God, indivisible, incapable of being divided, with liberty, which is freedom, the right of power to live one's own life without threats, fear, or some sort of retaliation. And justice, the principle or qualities of dealing fairly with others. For all, which means, boys and girls, it's as much your country as it is mine. And now, boys and girls, let me hear you recite the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Since I was a small boy, 2 states have been added to our country, and 2 words have been added to the Pledge of Allegiance: under God. Wouldn't it be a pity if someone said that is a prayer and that would be eliminated from schools too?
There you have it.
So fitting.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
fitting.
Is
I'm amazed it's allowed to stay on YouTube.
All right. It's misinformation.
Well, there's quite a few youth organizations. For example, the YMCA, certain summer camps that don't raise the flag anymore. So
really,
yeah, and do the Pledge of Allegiance because some individuals find it offensive, apparently. So I don't think we're so undivisible these days. Obviously, we've been divided up quite nicely.
Yep.
Crazy.
Mm-hmm.
What else? We got Floyd Mayweather. What's this?
Yeah,
Floyd
said
Mayweather,
something.
ladies and gentlemen. Floyd Mayweather.
I think Liberty put this in the doc. I don't know.
Sounds
I
like
that
it.
was
Liberty's a
copied it.
What's up? I know you're going through a lot. We had a chance to hang out in 2016 when you represented America, when you represented the red, white, and blue. You only want to be treated fair. I was going to post something on one of my social media pages, but I decided to do it the old school way and read it out to you because you're a great person, great father, great athlete, and you believe what you believe. America is the
Press
land
pause.
of the free.
Press pause.
Yep.
This is his message to Kyrie Irving. Is that what's going on?
Yeah.
Okay, so for those
Yes.
of us unfamiliar, Kyrie Irving's a basketball player, has refused the vaccine, and has been ultimately
fired.
I don't know. Yeah, well, I don't think it's technically fired, but he's not allowed to play. His organization is not allowing him to play.
Right.
So effectively fired, but not technically.
Right.
It's exactly the same, but different. Yeah.
Get it, or
put on the
or you're
bench.
not allowed to play, and he's chosen to stick to his guns. So Floyd is, I guess, giving him a message based on this entire situation. So go ahead.
Freedom of speech, freedom of religion, and supposedly freedom to choose. Never be controlled by money. I respect you for having some integrity and being your own man. A free mind makes his own choices. An enslaved mind follows the crowd. Stand for something or fall for anything. One man can lead a revolution to stand up and fight for what's right. One choice, one word, one action can change the world. It's crazy how people hate you for being a leader. I hope your actions encourage many others to stand up and say enough is enough. Respect to you, Kyrie, and power to the people.
What do you think of that?
Message, yeah.
Unpopular opinion?
Well, Fortunately,
I
he's
put it
right.
on there because I was surprised. Like, kind of like when Nicki Minaj came out, it reminded me of that because athletes and celebrities and people, you know, who have that high stature in Hollywood, they often don't do that. So I thought he went against the grain, and I thought it was worthy of sharing.
Good. More people do it.
Yeah.
What we need. Like Dave Chappelle standing up pretty good right now.
Goodness. Somebody made a post about that. I forget who it was, but like, could you imagine if he had attacked some other oppressed group in this country? Then would people still be standing up to him? It's like standing up for him.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, if this is people standing up for him, like, how much worse is it going to get?
Right. Gonna get a lot worse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I guess I stand
Unfortunately.
corrected, Mr.
He's being
Jerry
severely attacked. It's like, what are you talking about?
And he's standing up for the trans community. You're talking about Chappelle, Mike?
Did you watch that special?
I haven't seen the full thing yet, but I've seen enough that I have a pretty good
Watch the
idea
full
what he was
special,
talking
and then
about.
we
Yeah.
can talk about it.
Okay, yeah. But he had that one comic who opened for him who was trans who committed suicide.
Well, that he tells the story about that.
Yeah.
In
All right, I'll watch the special, then we can talk about it.
yeah, watch the
future
special and
episodes.
we'll talk about it. Funny but still sad.
Yeah, I forget what
Right.
this was, but that's what I decided to call it. It's like a video or something. Oh my goodness!
What do you got?
What is this? Hiker lost on U.S.
Oh, yeah, I remember
mountain.
seeing that.
Oh, did I put
Ignored
that on there?
calls
Tell me I did not
from
put that on there.
rescuers because he didn't recognize the number.
Wait, who put that on there? Was that you, Russ?
No, this was in the doc. I just
Oh, that
went
was
with
me.
it.
That was you.
I'm trying
My
to call you
story-
about your car warranty.
Yeah, right.
That was
This is
exactly.
an
He
important
literally-
message to the vehicle owner.
Guys, just imagine that you're lost in the woods and you're too busy being lost that like somebody like if I was
It's
lost
crazy.
and I got any call, I would answer.
I'd
and
be like,
"Help
this damn emergency line. People
Yeah.
keep calling us non-emergencies.
Hey, guys, I think I cracked the code on why I started getting those calls, because I hadn't gotten them for a while, but I got 2 yesterday, and the only time I get those is when I use my phone number to, some stores have the like, oh, do you have your store card with you? No, I don't. Oh, well,
Sure.
what's your phone number?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm pretty sure that activates something that says, hey, you can call me and bother me about my car warranty, which doesn't
They gotta
exist.
sell it, right?
Huh?
They sell that information.
Absolutely, they sell the information. I used it at the
Oh my
auto
God.
parts store. I told you I got oil. And guess
Yeah,
what?
They seem to have it all.
I
Mike. They
got
really
2
do now,
calls. I haven't gotten
By
any
the way,
for
Russ
months.
is the only. Oh, sorry. I thought you were finished.
No, you want to know the store that I went to? I went to Advance Auto Parts. Don't give them your phone number. Just don't do it.
Yeah, we're
But Russ is the only one who can make you like, okay, I would never think of this in a million years.
Hmm.
But Russ said that he's annoyed by the ads when you're pumping your gas at Wawa, and I would have never noticed it. And now
yeah. Cheddar
I'm
News.
noticing them, and they are annoying me.
Yeah?
Like,
Oh,
what
yeah.
the heck, Russ? I
It
found
is a
myself
little bit
frustrated.
annoying.
I
You know what annoys
noticed.
Oh my
me?
gosh.
I
You know what annoys
noticed
me though is
that,
I've gone to some of those gas stations and they seem to intentionally pump the gas slower. So you're
So you can
captive-
see the commercials.
Yeah, it has to be because there's certain gas
Yeah.
stations that have those, and their pumps are way slower, and it's always been that way. So I don't go
That's
to those
interesting.
stations. But because you're a captive audience.
Well, basically,
Thank
you're
you,
stuck
Russ.
there.
You
And
noticed
there's,
things that I would have never noticed before.
well,
Yeah.
the thing
The
is,
gripes of Russ.
the
Cheddar
thing is,
News.
you
It's
used to be
usually like
able to
Cheddar News,
push
yeah.
one of those software buttons and mute it, but they took that away, at least at Wawa. And I noticed that some people, not me, but some people have been putting strips of duct tape over where the speaker is to quiet it down.
Oh, really? Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
it's been happening locally. I've seen it. Oh,
You can put
probably.
a "Let's Go Brandon, I did this" sticker on, right?
I did this. I've seen those.
Yeah, you
Joe
sent me
Biden
some
stickers
pictures
on the
of
gas
that.
pumps.
Yeah.
I've seen those.
Yeah.
I literally bought them. I bought them to put them when we like we're gonna do live again. And
Oh,
it just
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're pretty funny. They're funny.
they are funny, but now I guess I'll use them. I'll put them on gas stations or something. Gas pump. Got them on
But,
Etsy.
yeah.
So you'll probably be like arrested for domestic terrorism against a gas station or
Well, I
something.
think
What
it'd
else
be
we
more like
got?
vandalism.
Let's go to number 7.
Oh, that.
All right,
Yeah.
number 7.
I'll put duct tape over the camera.
Oh yeah, this annoying vertical video, this one on stupid Twitter. What is this?
I don't think I'm the
What
villain.
is this?
I feel like this is a good news, bad news situation.
Why are you
The good news
shirtless?
is that you are not the villain. The bad news is that is because you are not in the plot.
looks
You
like
are
fake
not
face
relevant
hair.
enough for the general public to be concerned about your bad political opinions. I don't think the average American is sitting around thinking, God, I hope the 9th most famous person from Full House cares about the right politics. It's just not very realistic. But also, like, what do you mean by in Hollywood? Other than being on the reboot of your own show that most of the cast didn't come back for, what are you booking? A Hallmark Christmas movie? So, like, I don't know. Let's focus on new projects. I think you should do a biopic of Meghan McCain, Princess of Arizona. I think that's it, baby.
Maybe I.
Oh god,
Can,
I
can
hate
we
that they
make a
leaked the
promise to all
video,
of us
too.
that we never watch that again?
Yeah, I don't know why that was in the doc, but I found
I can tell
that
you why,
person's
because-
voice to be
okay.
annoying.
I get
Excuse
it.
me.
I can't get that 30 seconds
Candace
of my life back, can I?
It was
Okay.
mean-spirited.
It was
My
actually a
girl,
minute.
Candace Camel, I love her from Full House. She is a Christian out there, and she is, she's doing her thing against the vaccine mandates. And she is technically a celebrity, and quite frankly, she's a big one. But I don't know. They've been slaughtering her on social media and saying these things like this, saying she's not relevant. Like that's their argument. But she's like one of the only ones in Hollywood, quote unquote, Horrorwood, as my pastor used to call it. That is out there speaking up, and I just want to show that they are just attacking her. They have nothing to attack her on, so they're just going after her career.
Let's play this Freedom Tunes, unless you guys have thoughts on the video that we just were subjected to.
We're never to speak of it again.
Chris, you said you couldn't get that 30 seconds of your life back.
That's right.
I
I
hate
was
to
hoping we
break
could
it to
do, like,
you,
a rewind.
Chris, but that was a
long is
minute.
Freedom Tunes? How long is Freedom Tunes?
I don't know. A minute? 2 minutes? I don't
What'd
know.
you do with my video links? Well, at least play the one I mentioned earlier, since we.
I don't
wrapped
know,
up.
Chris.
Now we're
They
at the
were
end
in the
of show.
doc.
Look
They were
you.
in the doc.
Well, I
okay?
think we should talk about the AIDS thing next week.
Yeah, let's do that next week. Yeah.
So, for anybody who's listening, I want to know if anybody is familiar with Dr. Wilner. Dr. Wilner, and I'm not giving medical advice or spreading medical misinformation. I'm telling a fact for the purpose of commenting on something that happened historically. But Dr. Wilner was a guy who came out during the AIDS epidemic and spoke out against Dr. Fauci and made the claim that he would inject himself with HIV because HIV did not cause AIDS. And there's a video of him at this press conference doing so and criticizing Dr. Fauci in many ways for a very long time.
I believe we played that before.
No, we didn't play that before.
We might have talked about. Now I don't even know if Mike mentioned it. I think just we talked about it off the show.
Yeah. But we next week we're going to talk about it in depth. We will show pieces of that video. So if anybody wants to check that out, it's probably very difficult to get a hold of that video, I'd imagine.
You know, I tried searching for it, and I typed in pretty much the exact name that you sent me, Mike, and it wouldn't come up in YouTube. So
Really?
it's not easy to find. I don't know if that's.
You'd think
intentional.
that doctor injects himself with AIDS would pop like right up. It's like, oh no, you're gonna have to be more specific. Which
Yeah.
doctor? So
Right.
many doctors have injected themselves with AIDS at a press conference over the years that you
Yeah.
can't
No,
tell
you
which
think
one
that?
you're talking about.
No, they do a pretty good job of suppressing things that are against the narrative and the norm or whatever. And then he specifically talks about Fauci, like you said, and a lot of the things he's talking about in that video are very similar to what's going on now.
Have I been saying injected himself with AIDS because I mean the virus? HIV.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
I
HIV.
don't want to.
Yeah, the virus.
Misspeak, you know.
Yeah, he literally took a blood sample from someone live, pricked them right in front of the cameras, put a needle in that gentleman's blood who was positive, tested
HIV
positive, and then
positive, right.
injected it himself. So
And his claim was that HIV does not cause AIDS, right?
Mhm.
That was his
Yeah.
claim.
And now his
and then he
claim
made
is
a bunch of other
mistakes were
claims
made.
about Dr. Fauci. He was very, very pointed towards Dr.
Powerful,
Fauci with a
pretty
lot
powerful
of
video.
different points. And if you watch it, it's almost as if you're in a time machine because a lot of the gripes he has are the same exact gripes that people have today.
Right.
And
Actually,
I think it's of serious historical significance.
Absolutely.
To watch this and compare it.
That's right.
Because this wasn't all that long ago, was it, Philly Chris? You remember when AIDS was?
I remember it.
I'm not gonna. And I want to clarify. I'm not coming on here and saying AIDS is not that big of a deal anymore.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is that you remember when it was fresh on everybody's minds, right? You
Sure.
don't see it front and center today.
Yeah.
Not like that.
No, my boyfriend and I at the time were very concerned about it. I'm saying that jokingly because my grandmother, let me tell you a quick story. My grandmother used to go to New York, and I bring my best friend Stu, who I mentioned.
My
and
buddy Stu,
my buddy Stu,
He's
like you
the
mentioned.
famous my
And
buddy
she'd be
Stu.
like, Chris, bring your boyfriend in for dinner. I'm like, Nanny, he's not my boyfriend. like her generation, they would call.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Chris. He's like, okay,
Anyway, sorry, maybe it was a bad joke. I apologize.
We'll pretend. We'll
Yeah.
pretend he's not your boyfriend.
I got to send this to him now. I'll send him this segment. But
Your
but
boyfriend Stu. Is that?
Yeah,
that's
my
what I'm gonna
boyfriend
call-
Stu.
That's what I'm
Yeah.
going to call him from now on instead.
well,
of
we it's one of
buddy
those
Stu.
things we joke about because I could even say it now, and he would get the reference to my grandmother.
Your boyfriend Stu.
But I was deathly afraid of it, and it makes me think a little bit about what's going on now in the younger generation, because at that time I didn't have the knowledge or the care even to look into the science behind HIV at the time. I just knew that the authorities were telling me this is going to kill me. This has the potential to kill me.
Do you find, in general, just based on your observation, I know this isn't scientific data or anything, do you think that young children are more or less likely to be wearing a mask outside?
Now you're saying like
Yeah,
more
young children as opposed to adults, do you find that they're more or less likely to be wearing a mask outside? I feel like I see way more young children wearing masks outside than I
Absolutely.
do adults.
Actually, I had a conversation with my niece about this today. It's interesting you bring this up because I was dropping her off for gymnastics. And I said, hey, what's the mask situation like at gymnastics? She said, oh, it sucks. It's horrible. And the older kids don't have to wear them. I said, excuse me? I said, why is that? And she said, because some of the older kids are vaccinated. So they're using that again to force the younger kids to continue to mask.
Wow.
And I think it's child abuse. This is horrifying. This is evil what we're doing to our kids, masking them. Again, there's no scientific, nobody's sent, I've made the statement on the show a few weeks ago. I got one response, and I've been preparing a response to it because I've been reading through the CDC information that one of our listeners was kind enough, and I'll talk about that in a future episode. But anyway, yeah, I think it's evil what's going on. And you're right. You do see the younger kids wearing them more and outside, and that might be part of the
but
reason
now
why.
they're trying.
Well, they force the parents to believe that there's more risk too, and they're really, from what I've seen from the medical documentation and what's going on,
I thought that interview with Rogan and Sanjay Gupta was incredibly
absolutely,
interesting.
yeah, it really was, absolutely, yeah.
He did talk a little bit about natural immunity on there too.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, and we've talked about these things on the show a while
Totally
ago.
ignored.
Totally ignored. It's scientifically proven to be better. The vaccines are not vaccines; they're therapeutic.
Oh.
I
Don't
don't
get
know
us kicked off. This has been
Right,
such a
I'm
great
sorry.
episode.
But now they're trying to get it approved for ages 5 to 11. Did you guys see that?
Well, right.
Yes.
They're pushing the narrative now for that. Yeah,
That's-
and that's why it frustrates me because there's a lot of things I would like to say, but I don't want to get us kicked off.
So maybe we
do a
can make a
separate
separate video. Yeah.
You know what?
We
Too,
should make a separate. We should make a separate dummy channel where we don't mind getting kicked off.
That's not a bad idea. Yeah.
Right. The Mike G Rogue channel or something
Right.
like that.
Not a bad idea. That's
And
not
if you want to see like the unfiltered content, go over there because we don't mind getting kicked off.
Or we could just
While
specifically
it
do
stays.
some stuff on Parler, and some of these
Rumble.
Rumble. And, I mean Rumble, not Parler, because they canceled Parler.
I thought they
So-
came back.
All right. How long is this cartoons video?
I don't know, a minute and 46.
Why
Or
don't
you got a hot
can you
date or
save that one
something?
for next week, Russ, and just play the one Tucker. I just wanted to play that.
You
Maybe we
serious,
can even
Clark?
play this again next week. But there's a reason I've been talking about this stuff for a while. It's up to Mike, whatever
Well,
you want to do, Mike.
I
but
found that doctor
you're trying to end the
injecting
show.
himself with idiocy thing. Okay, he injected himself with HIV.
See,
I
see,
found
Russ,
it on
you
Daily
say
Motion.
that without watching it, and it just shows that
That's-
you say
that's-
it without watching it. You're missing the importance of watching the video.
Yeah.
I
You're
watched it
saying
on
that he's
mute.
an idiot for doing it.
And that's
You're
well,
missing-
this is good. Let's talk about this for a second because see, this is exactly how this works. Is they can
Yeah.
brainwash the population.
There's going to be out there. There is a kid right now who's alive and in our education systems, where in 20 years, if they watched a video of Russ, the producer, saying something about COVID, saying, "Okay, we're going to watch this idiot say that COVID is X, Y, or Z," or "We're going to watch this idiot
even
say
about
something about masks," right? It's exactly the same thing.
What?
There's no difference whatsoever. Because with all the criticisms that you've had about the government, about the CDC, about Dr. Fauci, these are the same concerns and criticisms brought up by the man in this video. And he's got contentions that he makes about the science and about medicine and about all of those things that run contrary to the very basic understanding that many of us have about HIV and AIDS.
We should do a watch party on Rumble with the whole video.
That'd be great.
We should do
That'd be
that.
great.
Ladies and gentlemen, in a few weeks we're gonna do that.
Yeah,
We'll do a
we will
watch
do that.
party.
We'll watch the whole
We
thing.
can't do it
on
here.
Rumble.
There's no
can't
way we could
here.
do it.
There's no way. We'll lose all of our subscribers and all of our views, all of our airtime.
And I think it's important, Mike, because what you're pointing out right now, and this is a pretty serious discussion we're having, is this is pretty critical to what's going on now. And these are questions I think more people need to ask, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. But let's do that.
Yeah.
We'll save that for another time. Click that UFO video and then let's go to bed.
Yeah. And
UFO video?
go to the doc and just
guys
since
are
we mentioned
adding
this
crap to the
episode,
doc
I wouldn't
while
mind
we're doing
playing.
the
There's not a
show.
lot of thanks for everybody for hanging in. We still got some people. I don't know
Yeah.
how many people get to the end of the episode. Maybe we can touch on this again next week. But
which
since I
one?
mentioned it,
Which one of
and
these
because there was a couple videos this week that were released that I was expecting sooner, but they just hit. I've mentioned this exact
It
incident.
says Tucker new UFO segment, all right?
Thank you, Mike. Thank you. Yes.
Page 3.
Yeah.
Page 3.
Page 3
Page 3.
of the doc, yeah.
Under video links, Charlie Sheen's the first one. Now, yeah, the next one down there. It's
This is
under the Philly Chris section.
128. It's from January.
No.
I'm counting page 3. 3
It
of
says
166.
Tucker new UFO
I
segment.
don't even know where you look at. Okay, I'm on page 3.
There's
Half
four
of
Okay,
links.
so read, right?
Read.
There's little squiggly things on the page.
There's hyperlinks.
This
There's
guy?
a hyperlink.
This guy. I don't watch Fox. I don't watch anything.
That's okay. We know.
Is this guy Tucker UFOs? Yeah.
Yeah, that one. Thank you.
Okay. Who watches already?
Oh, another UFO segment. That's crazy. You'd have to be crazy to believe that's possible. Really? Is it any crazier than what's coming out of, say, your average White House briefing? No, it really isn't. So with that in mind, a fascinating conference today about UFOs and nuclear weapons that took place in Washington. At it, a U.S. Air Force captain called David Shindelli said he was part of an incident in which a UFO disabled 10 nuclear ICBM missiles. Here's part of what he said.
There has been a long history of UFO incidents and encounters, with much investigation of them from 1947 and even earlier. In September of 1966, I was the Minuteman ICBM Launch Control Officer and Deputy Commander of a launch crew stationed at Minot Air Force Base, North Dakota. I was involved in a UFO incident at that time where a flying object tampered with and took down a total of 10 nuclear-tipped ICBM missiles by rendering them unlaunchable.
Tom Rogan is one of the rare serious journalists, actual journalists, in Washington who's been on this story for years in a very rigorous way. He's a columnist now with the Washington Examiner. He was following the conference today. He joins us tonight for a recap. Tom, thanks a lot for coming on. So what did you learn today at this event?
Thanks, Tucker. Yeah, I think the key point here is that although these gentlemen have been telling their stories for a while, now they are doing it in a fashion where they can finally be taken seriously by more people. And fortunately, there weren't that many journalists there today, but there were more perhaps than there have been. I think the key point, though, is that people with some of the highest security clearances at the height of the Cold War for the U.S. Air Force, multiple different individuals at multiple different sites across a period of decades, say that UFOs interacted with nuclear weapons platforms and either rendered them inoperable or took them offline. And so something was done by a technological force, as these officers would suggest, that cannot be explained. And that in and of itself surely should be big news worthy of serious further investigation.
Well, by definition, I mean, any force that can take America's nuclear weapons offline is something you need to worry about. Presumably the Pentagon has been looking at this, assessed it. Have they given any indication of what they think happened?
What's, I think, unfortunate, and I guess we're at the start of a process, you know, the Director of National Intelligence had this report, but what's unfortunate is the government does know that there is a nuclear connection. They've kept that classified. Frankly, I can understand why some of it is classified, but they should come clean with a lot more that they know. I mean, the simple fact, right, the U.S. Navy, why does the Navy keep seeing these things with the aircraft carriers? Well, aircraft carriers are nuclear powered. Why do submarines see them? Nuclear connection. This nuclear missile incidents from the Cold War, there's credible testimony from a great historian on this, Robert Hastings, who wrote a book, UFOs and Nukes, to suggest that the Soviets had similar experiences.
Yes.
Something is going on here. It's not America, it's not China, it's not Russia, and we need to get a grip and take it seriously instead of laughing it off as an issue for crazy people.
Right. I mean, there are a lot of crazy people in this world right now. I would say the people who take this seriously may be among the least crazy in our public conversation, and you're certainly in that category. Right. Tom Rogan, appreciate your coming on tonight and covering this. Thank you.
Thanks, Tucker.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here.
Shut up, Sean.
All right. Do you feel vindicated, Philly Chris?
Well, you know, for me, here's what's troubling to me, Mike, right? I'm just some average guy, you know, that somehow has known about a lot of these things for a long time. I've mentioned them on your show, and now they're just showing up on Fox. Like, why is there? I could literally sit here for hours and show you declassified documents from 3-letter agencies that are as bad as that situation or worse. You know, there's a situation where 6 craft showed up over the Capitol building. I predict that'll probably be on Tucker in a few months. That happened. There's pictures of it. That was a long time ago in the 60s. Like, why isn't this being taken more seriously? You know what I mean?
Because that would be a big deal, right? So
that happened.
A little bit.
It's well documented. It's been suppressed. It's been
let's
hidden.
let's make sure that we have big stars around this, so that way, when you're proven correct,
proven what?
To be correct, right?
Yeah.
Why? What did it sound like I said?
Oh, no, I'm sorry. I didn't. It broke up for a second. I had no idea what you said. Sorry.
Yeah, when it comes out and this is confirmed, then you can hang your hat on that and say, look, everybody, told you so.
Yeah, and to me, it's deeper than that. I
Matt?
feel the reason I brought it up on the show, and I appreciate, you know, being a part of the show and the opportunity to come and talk about these things so openly, is that I think, again, a lot of things going on right now are just a fraction of where this is going and what we're going to see. And it's going to tie into some of these things. And again, if another country or our country or the deep state, I've mentioned this multiple times, has this technology, which is most likely, it's been suppressed. The capabilities of this stuff compared to putting masks on people's faces or compared to forcing vaccines is unstoppable. You can't compete against it. None of us can. So, you know, how far are they going to take it? Where's this going to go? And the things that just scratching the surface on what's been declassified versus what's probably still classified is really mind-numbing when you think about it. So anyway, we can talk more about it later, but I just wanted to share that because it's something I mentioned months ago, and it has now gone mainstream. But look, people do what we want to do, but I think it's a topic that needs to be of higher concern and looked into more by citizens of this country. Because why would we be spending trillions of dollars on weapon systems that are useless? Our complete Navy, Air Force, stealth technology, it's all a joke.
Yeah.
It's a joke.
Hey, Chris, I got a question for you. You ready for this one?
Shoot at me, yeah.
How come in this world of HD video, none of these things can be captured in HD?
Well, some of them are. There are videos that are high definition. They haven't been released to the public yet, yeah.
Do you have access to them?
I've seen some things. Russ, that, and there's more coming, and there's stuff out there if you look on the internet that's pretty,
You've
pretty
seen
high
them in a
resolution.
format that you can share?
I probably could, yeah. Let me see what I can do for next week or something. Yeah.
Are we all going to be
places online you
disappeared
can
for
see
sharing
things that
it,
are
though?
more-
So next week we're going to see the doctor inject himself with AIDS.
Yeah.
And we're going to see clear footage of a UFO that we've never seen before.
Something more clear. But there's also
Bigfoot will be our guest.
right. Well, there's reasons why some of the stuff can't get captured on our current technology because of the nature of the propulsion systems. They're creating a plasma field around.
Darn it.
them. So anyway, but yeah, there's
Darn
more, there's some
plasma.
clear stuff. All right.
Interfering with my
Anyway, that's my
cameras.
rant. That's my rant.
Thank
ladies
you,
and
everybody
gentlemen.
in the Mike G in the Morning universe, the Mike G in the Morning family who's stuck around and continue to be a part of this show. I always have a blast with each and every one of you. So thank you so much for being here and sticking with us through this late evening. We had a great time. We want to thank Rocco DePivo with Cosmic Order. Check out his band, check out the song, and let's go, Brandon! That's all the time we've got for today. Stick around for We the People, the Constitution Matters. Pastor David Whitney, Professor Phil Duffy. I'll be joining as your legal analyst. We miss you, Ellie. Daddy loves you.